Presenting our advanced, adaptable and innovative solutions. IFS is designed to support a wide range of financial.
We welcome you to our conclave on adaptation of technology in microfinance sector. In this conclave, we will discuss the issues and challenges MFIs face in adopting technologies in different operational sectors. To start today's conclave, I will like to invite our Executive Director and CEO, Mr. Gigi Memon, to deliver a welcome address.
I think this we can. Here. It's here. You have anything? Any
Presentation?
नहीं कॉन्फ्रेंस का कुछ है क्या? प्रेजेंटेशन का फर्स्ट शीट ऐसा कुछ है? You and good morning to all of you for this workshop on technology adoption. Thankfully, the weather is very, beautiful, I would say. Unlike a usual winter time, today weather is quite comfortable, and I hope you will all have a good time spending time with us discussing about the needs of technology and technology adoption. First of all, I welcome each one of you for this workshop. This is a workshop we are doing to understand the challenges in technology adoption. Microfinance institutions, which we are all representing, have been one of the early adopters of technology, I would say. If you see, initially, it was all physical. We were all transacting physically, using the papers, distributing the money in cash. That was a system we had adopted initially. But slowly we moved into technology, adopted technology, and over a period of time, I would say it's quite. I would say the majority of the microfinance institutions have adopted technology very well. Gone are the days when people go to the field, take the application in paper, bring the paper, then do all those things, do the processing, and also disperse the money in cash. But then now things have all changed. Thanks to some of the crises which happened during the journey. This is one sector where we have seen that every crisis has come out, where we have come out quite strong and with some kind of a new innovations. The Andhra crisis led to the creation of credit bureau, I would say, in microfinance. In 2010, 2012 onwards, we have credit bureaus in the country, and from 2015, I think credit bureaus have been well established. And this is one of the early adoption of technology where we have been able to report the data to the credit bureau and get the data from credit bureau and understand the credit history of a person, which helped us in assessing the loan liability, loan eligibility of a person. Before that itself, of course, there was technology adoption by bringing LOS, LMS, and accounting engine for our operations. Then in 2016, when demon happened, that led to the digital transfer of the loan amount. Otherwise, I mean, I also worked in one of the microfinance institutions. My friend is here from NAPFINS. They used to say that people used to carry cash in huge loads, and travel to a village, distribute the money, and come back. That all gone, and in 2016 onwards, most of the MFIs have adopted digital transfer of money. When COVID came, we started encouraging the digital repayments. So now digital repayments have become, and it is now I think around 20 to 25%. Some of the institutions have gone much beyond that. I think Avanti and all must be having somewhere closer to 60-70%. I mean, it depends on the different institutions have different level of digital repayments. Subke is here. I think Subke must be also having quite a good amount of digital collection of money. Even Muthoot has got. I know they have been also encouraging digital payment of repayments. So what I'm trying to say is that we have been adopting technology over a period of time, but it is not uniform across the industry. Some have got very good, very robust and very excellent technology mechanism, whereas some of them, especially the smaller ones, probably they have their own challenges. So this workshop basically we are looking at what are the different challenges, especially we are looking at those which are unable to reach to the level of the technology advancement of the bigger players. What are the challenges they face? Or even in the bigger players, is there any challenges they have as far as the technology is concerned? What kind of solutions we are looking at? What kind of requirements are there from the ecosystem players, or even from the regulators, even from the other stakeholders? So we would like to understand all these things in this workshop. That is one part of it. That is the main objective of this workshop. But I'm also looking at something else. I'm also seeing whether we can also look at discussing about some of the problems which we are facing, where we can bring in some technological intervention. For example, I will say that now we have been seeing that group mechanism has been getting diluted. Gone are the days when people used to come very meticulously to the group meetings and do the payments there. Those things are now becoming little bit, I would say it is getting little bit less and less in different parts of the country. So can we bring in technology there? Keeping the rural connect. Can technology help us in doing that? Can there be some digital and virtual way of meeting the people? So that is one thing which comes to my mind. Another thing is about some of the challenges we have as far as the new regulatory framework is concerned. We know that new regulatory framework rests on two pillars. One is the assessment of the household income, and another is the assessment of the credit liabilities. If these two go wrong, then everything can go for a toss. So is there any way of assessing the household income in a much more realistic way? At the moment, I know that most of the MFIs depend on the declaration being given by the household or the borrower. Is there any way of cross-checking that? Is there any way of cross-checking by seeing the overall situation of the household, seeing the house, seeing the various assets she possesses? Is it possible like that? So that is another way of doing it. Similar kind of challenges or the problems which we are having at the moment, can we list out that and see what kind of solutions we can bring in there? I'm sure some of the technology players are with us. For them it will be also an input. They can also work on that. So I would request my MFI friends who are sitting here to pose the kind of solutions which we are looking for meeting through or solving through the technology solutions. So that would be a good input, and that will be a good, I would say, it will be a good what do you call, it will be a good way of seeing this workshop as a successful one. So with this, I also would like to talk about a bit of technology we are bringing in as far as data collection is concerned. So far, you know that as an SRO, we have been collecting data from all the MFIs, and thanks to all of you, you have been giving data on a quarterly basis to Sa-Dhan, because we are supposed to consolidate the data, submit to RBI, so for which we had been collecting the data. So far, we have been collecting the data through an Excel sheet, which you have problem in submitting. We have problem in consolidating. So those things are there. We are now coming out with a small solution. We'll be very shortly. We'll be giving that kind of some technology solution for that. We are working with one of the companies. So we'll bring out a technology solution which can help you to give the data and get the data consolidated at a level without much hassles. I would request all of you to kindly make use of the new product which we would be informing you, we'll be advising you, so that the data collection will become much more easier and much more hassle-free. So with this, I conclude here. I would once again welcome each one of you for this technology workshop, and hope that by the end of the day, we will be going out with some kind of better understanding and some kind of better way forward as far as the technology is concerned. So I would especially thank all the sponsors who have helped us to organize this workshop here. We have Axion as a partner, knowledge partner, who have been also part of this workshop. They will be also giving their perspective and their ideas. So I thank Axion and welcome Balaji and for this workshop. So make use of these workshops to the best, and especially the people who have come from the technology companies. I'm sure they will be looking forward for some kind of inputs from your side that will help in the sector to grow. With this, I once again welcome each one of you for this workshop and wish the very best for this, and hope at the end of the day, we will be able to come out something very concrete. Thank you and all the best.
Thank you, sir, for setting the agenda for today's conclave. Now I invite Mr. Balaji Parthasarathy, Senior Director of Action, to present an introductory presentation.
Yeah, hi, welcome everyone. I know we was supposed to start at 10, and this was expected to be a 30-minute session, but we'll keep it short, not more than 10 minutes. The background to this is kind of done in May 24. What was basically done is to understand as a precursor to the conclave in terms of trying to understand what are the kind of current state insights into tech and data adoption across MFIs. We thought the study was predominantly done by Sa-Dhan. The intention behind this being trying to get a good sense of where do you stand, right? So typically, so quick introduction. My name is Balaji. I work with Axion currently, but used to be the CTO at Ujjivan. Prior to that, I've been with HP doing large-scale digital transformations. And one of the interesting insights that, during the Ujjivan days also was that as a large MFI, we were a little ahead in terms of tech, but not all MFIs were at the same pace. This exercise was therefore a very interesting piece that we picked up along with Sa-Dhan to give a sense of how do we, because all of you all are technology leaders, where do you stand in terms of tech? Are the problems that you're facing very similar to what your peers are facing? And be able to layer that in terms of the discussion today. This will also help the technology solution providers to get a sense of where is an opportunity. So this is more like a culmination of two things. Where do you as peers stand in terms of the technology landscape? Are you alone? Because sometimes you feel that if there are others like you, you feel a lot better. The second thing is for the technology service providers. So think about these are the opportunities, right? So this is just a 5-10 minute pitch, not so much of a long speech because the more interesting half is later on and I don't want to eat into that time. So what we did, essentially Sangeeta here, credit to Sangeeta and Saibal of course, that what was done is essentially a playback of the survey to talk about what the current landscape is. And the other pieces I'm going to miss today is more about what the target MFI landscape is. I'm happy to have a separate conversation later. And also, I mean, the most interesting part was that how we thought we will use these takeaways for the next steps, right? So one of the thinking processes is that do we need to have an ecosystem of players ready, available for you to do vendor selection, as an example. Yesterday, an interesting insight came in terms of a community of practice to then see that how, as a follow-through for this session, do we then engage on a continuum to see that we can come with a selection framework for your respective solutions. Now, therefore, we'll keep to ourselves just for the current state of technology. At the core, right, all of us understand that at the core is the loan management system, right? So we segregated this survey just to give you insight into 3 buckets. One is the whole customer angle and digital adoption angle. The second is the core, which is the LMS piece. And the third is an enterprise solution, which is more the HRMS and accounting. So the segregation was done on this parts to see where is the adoption of these, where is the satisfaction level of these, and is there a differentiation across various types of institutions. For sake of anonymity, we are not kind of going to be able to disclose the MFIs, but broadly, if you look at LMS, right, which is the loan management system, the usage levels, everyone has a LMS, but a very small, minute set of people are still in-house software. So for the solution providers, there's an opportunity of, looking at some solution which is cost-effective for them. From a point of view of satisfaction, you can see for yourself that the overall satisfaction level is a little low. It's not up to the mark. And we will delve a little deeper when the challenges discussion happen in terms of what really is the issue with reference to satisfaction. Now, an interesting facet as a technology leader is that a lot of people talk about cloud, but the adoption of cloud is a little low, right? So there is definitely an opportunity for seeing how do we drive the cloud adoption. It's quite possible that because it is a SaaS solution, people don't say it as being cloud directly, but indirectly it is actually on cloud. So that's one of the reasons why we find that the responses were stated as cloud is low, but they may not know that there's a SaaS solution and it's anyway on the cloud, right? That's the broad spectrum. There's an opportunity, in summary, there's an opportunity of driving cloud adoption to get the cost low and drive, better solution. Any reflections, feedbacks, free advice, I'll kind of move on to the next set of solutions. So LMS is reasonably strong, solid, but there's an opportunity. Now, when it comes to enterprise solution, I wonder, it didn't come out as a problem statement even in our discussion with the CTOs, but ERP, right, which is loan accounting system and HRMS, while we dug a little deeper, cost remains a concern. So people are still managing their whole, so if you look at it, it's not the core business, but HRMS reflects on managing and controlling attrition, knowing why attrition is happening, looking at compensation benefits. So it's actually critical for an organization like an MFI where people are important, attrition is high, right? But we still found that while the usage is high, the investment and a cost proposition in terms of investing in something like a enterprise-wide solution for HRM is a little low, right? Something to ponder about, but it's just a reflection. May not be a problem. If today's discussion does not state this is a problem, we don't need to worry about it. But this is just, again, an opportunity in terms of what do we kind of think about in terms of an HRMS and an accounting package. Yeah. Most of the accounting, just an example, Craft Silicon is there almost in many of the large MFIs. They're also here. So, I mean, the good thing is they're there. The bad thing could be that satisfaction is something that one needs to look at, right? That's kind of what my key takeaway on these reflection of the surveys, not my personal judgment. Third piece, all of us know that the digital public infrastructure has been created, right? There's a lot of song and dance about UPIs and proliferation of UPIs. The limiting factor is that this works in segments where the apps are kind of prevalent, right? I wonder whether people are thinking differently, but what it feels is that there is a segment of people who use UPI, but there's a broad space which is still open. So while the UPI payments is close to 84%, the other kind of digital instruments are a little low. The other piece is that app for customers, again, is an opportunity. It's just 16% is related to self, right? So self-assisted mode is still very low. One of the key topics that we are thinking of today is about digital literacy. How do we drive digital literacy? How do we, so at Axion, we also are, doing fair degree of programs on driving digital adoption. We found that the penetration of mobile phones is high, but typically the phones are there only in the household. So not everybody has a phone. So if there's a woman who you're lending to, she may not have a phone for herself, but it is typically there in the household. So that's kind of one thing that we already know. But is there an opportunity to drive the literacy for women is where we could kind of dig a little deeper in terms of, is there a case of even an app for a customer? Yeah. Apart from that, satisfaction levels still be moderate, so there is an opportunity to improve. But we didn't question or dig a little deeper in terms of why are they saying the satisfaction level is low. It's just, each of you can unpack in your respective organizations to understand this. But this is a generic statement of what is the satisfaction level related to the digital payments. Key takeaway for me from the slide is essentially driving digital adoption for the end users, and what does it take us to do that? Because that will then help improve collections and therefore reduce cost for each of you in terms of collection. So that's an opportunity that one could think of, right? This is a broad spectrum of three kind of topics. The last one, right? It's interesting because most of the digital public infrastructure has come in this space, right? For example, be it underwriting, there's the credit bureau as an example. Be it KYC, where fraud prevention is kind of very important and critical. Simple onboarding as KYC is also something which everybody is kind of doing. The adoption of this is fairly high, right? So which is kind of great. So the adoption of basic things are very high. What I kind of saw is the underwriting. So while the KYC and basic KYC is reasonably high, I'm sure there are challenges to it in terms of the last mile. The underwriting, where there's an opportunity for how do you use the information that you have for underwriting, is a little low, right? So that's again an opportunity in terms of can we accelerate underwriting because all of this is already kind of available. We also heard during this conversation, which will come again in the panel discussion, that the integration is still a challenge. So we have legacy systems, so integration is kind of being a kind of problem statement. Again, we'll unpack it because this is more like a precursor in terms of what we heard in the survey for us to then lean on to the further discovery and deep diving of the problem statement. So that's the broad bucket of what I kind of wanted to cover in terms of sharing with you the results of the survey across key 4 domains, which will then fill into the panel discussion. So I don't want to take much away from that panel discussion, which is probably more important than the rest. Finally, there are pieces on emerging tech trends. I don't think we have, do we have time for that or? Yeah, now this is something which I borrowed from KPMG, it's not my slide. So it's borrowed from KPMG credit and it keeps changing. Gartner presents its own views. This is just to overlay, so while you're discussing solutions, is there an opportunity for that? We speak about AI, ML, but the typical trend has been to start with basics, right? So we're all at a layer of optimize, which essentially means looking at integration and the case of APIs, right? So how do we integrate your legacy with external systems? So use of API is something all of us need to consider and think of. Obviously, cost is an issue, but try to build use cases about why do we kind of need that. We also spoke about cloud infra in the previous. So it's all a fallout of the survey itself that cloud is the way to go. So you can try and test various things through cloud. You should be talking about it in your session because that's something that we can consider as well. So that's kind of basics in terms of optimize. The second layer, which people are thinking about, all institutions, is more like scale, right? So RPA used to be a mantra, but now people are talking about AI. And then the new phase, just last week is all about agentic AI, which is nothing but RPA in the form of AI, right? So people are talking about how do we do that. We'll think about that and consider that, but there's more to share with you. I'm sure all of you will read it in different forums, but just kind of putting one in the page in terms of how do you think of your respective technology organizations. Start at least with optimize and gradually go into upscale and innovate, right? With this, I will probably close this session so that it can move to more serious conversations on the panel. If anyone is interested, these slides, basically talk about more target state of technology and some roadmap in terms of how we can help each of you along with Sa-Dhan in trying to drive this whole journey. We can pick this up separately because, because I think we can talk about separately, but broadly trying to make sure that what we can discuss later on is in terms of what is your current landscape, this is the target landscape, and how we can help in building your technology roadmap. Yeah. With that, I hand it over to Sa-Dhan so that we can continue with the better half of the sessions. Yeah. Thank you. Yeah, thanks.
Mr. Parthasarathy for this insightful presentation. Now we'll start our panel discussion on understanding the top 5 challenges in technology adaptation for MFIs. For this panel discussion, I'd like to invite Dr. Akhil Khan, Managing Director of Mitrata, as our moderator. As speaker, Mr. Linson C. Paul, Chief Technology Officer from Muthoot, Mr. Dinesh Yadav, Chief Technology Officer of Pahel, Mr. Ram Thawani from Swaman, Mr. Rajesh Misra, CEO of Samavesh, Mr. Shashi Kumar T, Chief Technology Officer of Share India, Mr. Srinivas Valuri, Chief Technology Officer of Sabke. I request all the dignitaries, please take their seat. This session will discuss the cost constraint and economies of scale, regulatory and compliance complexity, digital literacy for staff and customers, integration challenges with legal systems, data protection, etc. Now I hand over the session.
Srinivas is here or not?
No,
I'm here, I can't. I've got a call in between.
Okay,
so,
sure.
Rather than disrupt proceedings.
Okay, fair enough.
So he told that he will be here, but won't be on time.
Fair enough. No problem at all.
Now I will hand
the
over
lights on.
this
Okay.
panel to Dr. Khan.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
You don't have to limit yourself to 5, you can have more.
Okay. Good morning to all. I will set up some golden rules for this panel because when I am a participant and an audience sitting there, I feel that the moderators take most of the time of the panel discussion, so I won't take that. I'll make sure at least 10 minutes are kept for question answer because most of the audience misses on question answer because panelists take all the time of 1 hour in deliberating. And of course, during the tea break, we'll have the time. I'll very quickly introduce the panelists, and also the golden rule for panelists will be that you will have 7 to 8 minutes, and I'll be strictly monitoring the time. And we'll be specifically keeping our focus on the subject and issues which we have already discussed. Let me start with Sashi. He's here. So Sachi will share, and he's with 27 years of experience. a veteran in the industry, knows everything in and about the technology, and he has been handling some of the very strategic moves on integrating technology within the business and the operations, and he'll be touching on some very important issues today. I'll be keeping introduction very brief, and the larger discussions and introduction can happen over the tea breaks. We have Mr. Linson C. Paul, CTO of Muthoot, a very big microfinance institution, recently come under top 25 institutions in the country. He has 24 years of experience, and very important, he has been into digital transformation and cybersecurities, which is a very alien subject when we are working at the grassroots levels, but some of the very important issues from a governance point of view, which he'll be touching upon. Then we have Ram. Ram is here, and I can see that he's with he's the Chief Information and Security Officers and lead the Sa-Dhan, we all know, and with 16 years of experience, has been working on risk management and cybersecurity, and today he'll be bringing on a very important aspect of credit underwriting in our discussions. We have with us Dinesh, correct? Dinesh is from Pahal, emerging women-led MFI in the country, and he has been leading their information and technology department, building the infrastructure, applications, and we all have been at least, the cost word has been used at least 30 times this morning in the opening remark, and that's going to be the focus of our discussion as well, and Dinesh is going to touch upon that. And last but not the least, we have my friend Rajesh Mishra here. He's the MD of Samavesh. He has been running a microfinance institutions. I also manage a small microfinance institution. We sail in the same boat when it comes to technology, the challenges and issues we face, and we are going to touch upon that. Today, the 5 topics we are going to talk about is about cost and adaptability, which is a very important issue for all the service providers here. We are going to talk about credit assessment. Recently, we have the meeting with Secretary of Finance where we brought the whole Aadhaar and eKYC issues. We are going to talk about digital literacy, where I think Shashi is going to really bring some experience. I know about Srinivas Sabke has been working a lot on that. I think regulatory, data protection, transparency, accountability is key. We may not be aware, but we would love to hear from Linson and how it needs to be handled, and particularly in SaaS model, when we don't have access to the audits and certifications of the service providers, how do we ensure that we are being safeguarded? So these are the topics on which we'll be talking about. And I think I would love to start with the most favorite subject on cost and adaptability, where Dinesh and Rajesh are going to touch upon it. You have the microphones with you. Each one of you have 7 minutes to talk about the subject.
Yeah, that's fine. It's fine. A very good morning to all of you. Myself is Dinesh. I'll be touching the base on the total technology adaptation, where we will be looking for the cost constraints. Whenever we talk about the technology adaptation in MFI or in any of the institution, the major thing comes in mind of business sides or the leaders is the how much it will be costing. Is it going to make some sort of the gaps in their P&L? So that is what normally happens, but it is not that it's only a cost center. But yes, in the long run, whenever we have large volumes, it always helps. So the basic funda is that whenever we do the technology investments, we are actually increasing the operational efficiency, which leads to, for example, in case of MFI, when we do that, we are actually reducing the total turnaround time, either in terms of a disbursements or in terms of the collection, which leads to the operational efficiency part. So when we initially start doing the technology implementation or the cost, the first things come is the high initial cost. There is a lot of amount required when we first either go for the purchase of LOS or implementation of LOS, LMS. The initial cost we have to consider that. And that is the primary barrier that which we need to break. That we should understand, we should complete our initial evaluation of the software. What are the blueprints or the software blueprints which we require? We have to map the processes. If those things are being taken care, then this initial cost has been controlled. Otherwise, what happens? In case if the initial preparation has not been done, and we have onboarded with a supplier or the vendor, in that case, the total bill of material will be keep on changing, and that leads to the higher operational cost. So that we have to maintain. Then the next point comes is the total maintenance cost. So now see, we have onboarded on an application, but that doesn't mean that everything is okay. Now we have to invest on the upgrades also. And whenever there is an upgrade or there is a customization, microfinance, in the field of the microfinance, things are changing very fast. Now the things have become dynamic, right? Or the regulators, they are keep on pushing the new things to be, that need to be adopted or implemented in the system. And that requires the cost. So that cost also we have to consider, and that is the second cost constraints which is there in terms of technology adaptation. So whenever we think of that, we should think of that also, and we consider that also. Besides that, there are a lot of new API requirements, right? For example, if we are considering LMS or LOS, it starts from the KYC validation. So if I'll take, at least there will be 5 or 6 different APIs you will be requiring to start with. You will be requiring the KYC validation. You will be requiring the credit bureau checks. That has to be done automatically. Besides that, we will be having the AIML, which is now coming up as a new thing. And we will be even integrating for anti-money laundering, right? We want to check whether the customer is available or any of the blacklisted list, or it is available in any of the sanction list. Nowadays, a lot of funders, when they are coming to us, they are asking whether have you implemented the French list? Have you implemented the US, UK list? So that is also part of that, and it is a cost. It's a transactional cost. So management have to think about that. Other than that, when we talk about the integration, a lot of institutions, they are either doing BC partnership or they are doing the co-lending, right? None of the LOS are having the capability to handle the transactions of co-lending. So that is again an additional cost, because you have to buy another piece of the software which is going to talk with your LMS, and the data has to be shared with the co-lending partner, and similarly to the regulators. For example, in case of here, it is in credit bureau, right? So whatever is the arrangement, if it is 80-20 or whatever, the similar data has to be generated automatically and send it back to the credit bureau. So again, we require an integration, separate piece of software. That's again cost constraint. But we have to think about that. Then we have an ongoing maintenance costs. Besides that, there is a training requirements, right? We have got a new software. I have to train my employees. So that is again a training cost. I have to train all of employees. Similarly, if our operation is in different geographical location, the application should support multilingual, right? It should be a multilingual. Otherwise, what happens? See, we all work with the very grassroots people, right? So our FCOs, field staffs, right? They have a limited understanding of English, and sometimes even in case of different locations, they may not be understanding that. So if our application, either LOS, it support multiple languages, then the user adaptability becomes easy. Otherwise, you have to invest a lot on the training part. You may have your own training departments. You have to hire the external agencies, which we keep on training to the users. And similarly, whenever there is a change in application, then again it becomes cost. So this is one of the major cost constraint when we talk about the technology adaptations. Definitely there is a solution available, which we will be talking into the next half of the day. Then there is a regulatory compliance. I am onboarding on service provider, but now we have a long list of master directions, right? We keep on getting new master directions every second day. So now if there is a master direction, I have to do the due diligence of my supplier, right? Whether that supplier, he is able to do the DR drills. Is he able to conduct the VAPT audits of the systems? Is my data is located within India or outside India, right? So again, that is in cost. Whenever there is a change in application, we are supposed to do the VAPT. I hope everybody is doing. Or if we are asking our vendors about that, because end of the day, if there is any cyber security threat happening or any incident happening, the things will come back to you. As a data owner, you are supposed to reply on that. So we need to check that also, whether the vendor is doing all the security audits, VAPT audits. If not, are we doing that? So again, that's a technology constraint. We'll be talking on that. I believe.
Thank you. No, you
That's-
have another minute if you want to sum it up, but great, you have already touched upon some of the very important issues. Thank you. Dinesh,
Thanks.
before I pass it on to Rajesh, I think two major issues, I won't repeat everything what the panelist is saying, but two or three major issues which has come up. First is this co-lending. I think this has been going on in discussion, and many of the small and medium MFIs have not been able to benefit out of it, even the larger ones. I remember my meeting with the very senior official at SBI. He invited us for a co-lending with SBI, and he asked me, why you are not doing it? We have approached you more than once. And I said, sir, the API integration cost, who is going to bear? He said, of course you are going to bear. I said, sir, I won't even survive as a company if I have to bear that cost. He said, SBI doesn't even know there is a huge cost involved into it. Now I need to go back into my institutional bureaucracy, which is big. And after that, we never had a follow-up meeting because it got lost into the big institution. So co-lending, very big opportunity, need of the hour, but major constraint and opportunity for service providers. I think the second part on the training, I think that's a very critical part. It comes with the cost, and somewhere the service providers or institution like Sa-Dhan or Axion need to come up with ETAs for capacity building, which really can help in sustaining, because also the attrition of the staff, once you have the person who knows everything of IT, he doesn't disseminate or share that within the institution in MFI, that's a mindset, is still in old school. The last important point, my sincere request to service providers is, please keep yourself updated with every RBI circular coming, because you don't know about it. We are facing it on a daily basis. So there has to be a mechanism that these circulars, through WhatsApp group, through Sa-Dhan, I understood that but there has to be now a service provider group with Sa-Dhan, and all circulars on a real-time basis should reach to them, because it's their obligation. We are on a SaaS model. It's their obligation to confirm and give us the documentation that don't worry, you're meeting all requirements. If a query comes from RBI or from your investor or lender, this is the set of documents which you can provide to them, and this is in relation to this particular circular. So these are three important points Dinesh has touched. Thank you very much. I'll pass it on to Rajesh, and I would request Rajesh to talk more not only on cost but adaptability and the whole flexibility and what are the need, because any technology is useful when it's user friendly. If it's not user friendly, adoption doesn't happen, scale up doesn't happen. So what challenges do we face as an MFI?
Okay. We are using technology from last 20 years. In-house software, when the software are available in the market, we switch from in-house to market available software because of transparency and get confidence of funders. And third, we may be more demanded because software is not our business. Our business is to doing microfinance. So if specialized people we hire, we will be more demanded. But again, the cost is a major constraint for a small MFI, because as he already mentioned that integration cost and maintenance and other costs, and they are trying to drive us in terms of numbers. Once you will reach 40,000, then 105 lakhs, then they give us a number. So this is also very challenging for us to for an organization. Second, when we sign an agreement, BC agreement with other organization, we are working on their software. So it is very tough for our staff in terms of reshuffling, because and as you mentioned that a training is required, because our staff, which is very tough for us to break their inertia. They are saying, no, 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 the existing technology is okay and we are working on that, so we don't want to change the new technology. They don't want to adapt. So this is also major challenges for us, because intermediate pass staff is not very frequently, we cannot change the software, because it will take 2 months or 3 months time to train our staff. Similarly, the member awareness. Members are not aware with the new technology or new intervention with and sometimes they victimize financially even. So because we train our staff, we ask our staff to train to create awareness among the client, but they don't have a time to create awareness rather than doing center meeting. Technology, because with the technology is a way to do transaction. We cannot assure our repayment with the technology. And a client tendency, if she pay through API, through UPI and other way, she don't want to come at the center meeting, and the numbers at the center meetings of client is going down. And even when our staff is present in the village in a week or bi-weekly, it's alarmed our clients to pay their installment on time to clear their credit record. So it's also affected. So third, we should use user-friendly technology. So if we want to make changes, it's very tough when we ask with or make changes, because overnight changes have been all been taken by the regulatory agencies and others. So when we ask with to make changes, they are not very ready to customize. They are giving an example that the large organization who has already 5,000 crore are doing this. So it's also a great challenge. Third is we don't need the answer from the technology provider. We need solution. Actually, if we have a problem. For example, the current need is to how we assess the cash flow of poor family in a rural area. Is still a challenge. KYC verification. Tampering Aadhaar is okay, that Aadhaar is easily tampering, but there is no way that we can address this issue. Otherwise, we have to invest money. So these are the major challenges. So technology providers should also think that what is much more important for an organization, and and they are trying to do this on the basis of their need. Thank you.
Thank you, Rajesh. Thank you. I think when Balaji was presenting, I saw Bijli there, and by default, before coming into MFI, I had done some, because I was in consulting, so I had done some studies, and for anybody starting MFI, only solution provider is Bijli. But the graduation is very important, and the time and window is very important. And we experienced that we had to push ourselves very quickly to come out of Bijli, and of course we use a new service provider. Now, this is something which is a reality already known in the sector, but this transition from very basic for the startup to graduate and keep graduating is very important. Now we always see, even I love Craft Silicon, I have not been able to use them, he's a friend, dear friend, we help me. I have to graduate, and the cost, if there's a constraint, then the solutions have to come in. Maybe the time has come that couple of MFIs are subscribing to the same software and sharing the cost rather than each one of us, but those platforms and facilities are not there. Let me tell you about the API integration. I was trying to do a API integration with my existing service provider with another company with which we are trying to work on a joint lending model. I had to bring that IT experts of the service provider and of that agency in my office so that they can talk to each other, because they were not even talking to each other. Each one was saying, I am right and you are wrong, and you are right, I am wrong, kind of a thing. And this BC partnership, as you mentioned, we all small and medium MFIs, we cannot survive without BC, because we have to have a leverage on our equity and BC is the only way we can survive and grow and get our profitability. But if I'm doing 2 and 3 BCs, these are 2, 3 different. If I'm doing with banks and SFB, the regulatory requirements are so strong. We need to have static IP addresses, dedicated, the IP addresses for them, and then the integration doesn't happen. The mindset of our employees to switch over from what they have been in the comfort zone. But this harshness, these challenges, this fight has to be co-shared by our service providers, because it's a cost, and that's where it has to come in. It's not about providing the solution. And let me remind everyone in the room, though we are talking of technology, microfinance is a fine balance of touch and tech. Tech alone is not the solution, and touch alone is not the solution. We all have realized about that today. So that fine balance has to come from both ends. And I feel that if we start giving a message, Rajeshji very clearly said, tech cannot solve all our problems, but we cannot survive without the tech. And this fine balance has to be exhibited in the solutions. And that's why I now go straight to Ram, where he'll be talking about 2, 3 very important issues. Of course, touch on API integration, but before that, the credit underwriting. Because if we have high delinquencies today, credit underwriting is one of the fundamental reasons for that. How fake KYCs is a major issue which we have just experienced, and about the whole issue of if you can talk about income assessment, and if any way that can be used, because I haven't seen a very good user-friendly module coming in where I can put in and it automatically give me the outputs. So handing over to you, Ram, you have 10 minutes for it.
Yeah. Thanks, Adil. Very good morning to all of you. So before that, I just want to add up what Dinesh and Rajesh said about the cost. One thing which I feel it should be there is we all agree that there's a high attrition rate at the field for the MFI. It's more than 30%. So the major cost which is about during the hiring as well as training those employees. So if we can create a centralized knowledge base wherein what is the past background verification steps done, or what are the past experience of that particular candidate, of the field agent we have in place, along with the trainings which he had done. So what all solutions he has already worked on. It can be any BR.NET or any other solutions which he is friendly with and had hands-on experience. The onboarding processes and the cost cutting can be done at that space. So building up that knowledge base is one of the solutions which we can think of. So that's from the cost perspective. That was my point. Now coming to the credit assessment. So credit assessment, we actually look at the 5 different angles to it. So first, starting with the character of the customer. So how better the customer is, whether he is intended to pay the genuine loan or he is having that fraudulent mentality. If he is having a bad intentions that going forward he is going to overdue the funds or misuse the funds. So first identifying the character, what is an actual genuine need. So this all needs to be identified during the customer due diligence, or when we are, in many of the cases, we do the house visit of the customer. So when we are visiting the customer, is having the loan purpose is like having agriculture. So the person who is actually visiting the field should see whether he has a land or he has proper supplies of resources for which he is actually looking for the loan. So it is just a vague one. So having a loan purpose, clarity, and the proper setup, whether it's that. So that character has to be checked. Secondly, we can check as a capacity. So even the character is good, whether he has a capacity to repay the loan. If the customer is already in debt, so whatever the earning he will do, whether he fits into the criteria, whether he can bear the load of the new loan. So there where the new regulatory comes in, where we have to assess the household income and the current obligations and come up to the FOIR values and all. So there we have the regulatory challenge, which cannot go beyond 50% of the indebtedness, and we cannot give the more loans. We have to check at each and every loan point. So those is where we are checking the capacity of this. Now, even though intent character is good, capacity is there, whether the condition of the customer, maybe his family condition, somebody is ill, or some other things, child education. So even though he's earning good, but his expenses are higher than what the way the lifestyle which he is living. So that also needs to be assessed. So all these parameters are the ground level parameters. So whoever is actually at the field, who is onboarding the customers at the field itself, those has to assess all these parameters. Unless those are assessed, the only individual element which we think of the bureau side, just checking the bureau credibilities will sufficient enough to do the assessment. Those are the old days. So now we have to do the 360-degree assessment. Now, also we have to check the capital availability of that person, like whether he has the capability of collateral, anything which is available, so that we can offer a better rate or higher rate of higher ticket size loan to that customer for better offerings and for better increase, sorry for that. So better liability of that customer. We can give more higher ticket size of loan. So this was for the credit assessment point of view. Yes, again, the gap comes in whatever the major part which we, is as an input in credit assessment is the bureau parameters. Now, how better the bureau parameters we have now? Because so far, I think anyone can guarantee the customer quality data which we have in MFI systems is very, very in poor condition, not even up to 60 to 70%. Nobody can challenge that, because even the higher standard data is saying it is up to 52%. Because there are frauds which are insider frauds done by the field staff. There are customer-driven frauds by morphing the KYCs. So in all the scenarios, the data is in bad shape. So a lot of customers are available in the system having multiple customers ID. So we don't have an effective system which can uniquely identify a customer. So in this case, a customer is having more than one voter ID cards and so. So customers are also playing smart enough, like providing one KYC ID one at a time. If they found that they are not eligible or entitled for this particular KYC, immediately they push another one. So whether they are eligible for that. Likewise, and secondary, the key parameter of building the bureau is the voter ID. And every state has their own mechanism of maintaining the voter ID. So there is no centralized repository where the voter ID can be checked and verified. This is the, again, bottleneck. So my suggestions to all the partners will be, this kind of solutions you should think of in proposing the solution, that if the government does not have that kind of repository, so somebody should build up this kind of repository which can be exposed over the APIs, and during the onboarding, this can be consumed and frauds can be mitigated and a better credit assessment model can be built. So that was from the credit assessment point of view. So another thing which I want to highlight here is the regulatory and compliance issues which we are facing every now and then. So every now and then the regulatory things are getting changing. We had a lot of regulatory implications coming to the liquidity ratios, capital adequacy, interest rate capping, what we have to offer to the customers, disclosures purpose, how much we are offering. So those are the challenges. We have to do it in a multilingual way to the customer in a transparent way. And those has to be also recorded.
Sorry, since Benson will be talking on that, since you have time, I would like you to that you have been handling the risk management in your company.
Yes.
You are a technology man. I want to see where the two marry, the tech and the risk management. If you can touch on risk.
Okay. So risk side, see, there are majorly, I will talk about the two risks. One is the customer risk and one is the intruder risk. Now, customer risk is if somebody is walking it within the morphed Aadhaar or voter ID. So how I can mitigate that? So we have the systems in place. During onboarding, we are taking the picture of it. It does the picture. It checks the OCR. So I am not relying on what the field officer is punching as a text input that this is the KYC ID. This is the first level of information. Taking the picture, reading the OCR, and I am also verifying the OCR value is equal to the inputted string. There it's at the input validation. The risk of entering the wrong data into system, that is getting checked first. Once that step is passed it, immediately I am passing that information to the centralized agency for the verification also. So it's not only what is entered, maybe the customer has smart enough to move the proper ID. So my field agent is enter what is visible on the KYC, and the OCR also read character. So validation part is okay, but it's when it comes to verification, immediately once this start one, I have the API integration place which will throw this request to the centralized agency, get it verified. It can be voter ID, it can be Aadhaar, and basis on the central agency's responses, I will take it further whether the customer is genuine or not. So that's at the first level of defense itself is that I will verify the KYC first and then onboard the customer.
Thank you, Ram. I think two very important aspects have been touched upon. Genuinity of the customer. We are in lending business. If we lend to non-joining customer, our money is not going to come back. We have been trying to do it manually. We need the help of technology in that. I wish there was like, now we have scanners and AIs that somebody can go and scan the house and the family and say this is creditworthiness or not. So we are still struggling with that. But definitely I think credit underwriting, credit worthiness are all interlinked, and this is a module in itself which need to be developed, which is the need of the hour, particularly now when we are seeing that high NP levels are going on. The second most important part I'd like to bring in, that the MFIs, and this is again going back to the cause and what Balaji brought in the morning presentation, is a lot of knowledge is being shared by MFIs to the service providers. But I don't get anything in return. I still have to pay huge costs. I have to still pay maintenance costs. Where is my intellectual property being paid for? And that is something. But that is one part. The second part is that the service providers need to very closely interact and engage on a daily basis. The way technology goes outdated, believe me, the sector and the ecosystem is evolving very fast. Its pace looks slow, but ground realities are changing very fast, social, economic, political. So the tech also has to adapt itself accordingly. That interface doesn't happen. And third and the last, which I am hearing from it, I meet the marketing guy when they come to my office and they do the PPTs. But the coders and the people who develop the softwares never interface with the MFI people. It's very important, and I have made it a point that I don't meet just the marketing people with the PPT. I have to meet the person who is writing the codes, who is developing the software, because he needs to understand our pain, our requirements, our need. So please make sure when you are coming in, you are bringing your tech guy along with you and not somebody who is only just pitching it. Thank you very much, Ram.
Adil, if I have 1 minute, I missed out one important part is the money laundering, which is happening.
Yeah.
So right now, nobody has thought that MFI will be in the AML purview because the ticket size is small and people was least bothered. Let's a small ticket of 30,000-40,000 who will do the money laundering. But if we talk about the volume base, so there is a high probability the money laundering is happening in the MFI space right now. So it's a time to be more vigilant because in our space, more or less the foreclosures of the loan or debt is repaid in terms of cash. So people are taking the fresh loans, they are getting the money deposited in the account. In 2-3 weeks they are coming at, we want to foreclose the loan in terms of cash. So this kind of laundering activity instances has been increased so far.
That's
so
a very
we,
sensitive
yep.
issue. I am sure Mr. Paul is going to touch upon that. Before I go to Mr. Paul, I'll bring in a little bit Sashi on the whole idea of all this is useless unless our customers, our client, our beneficiaries are fully aligned with us.
Right.
Digital literacy is a jargon which has been used, but I think justice needs to be done with it. I again heard with Balaji talking about digital literacy. Believe me that this is something which is a most neglected subject, which has been discussed a lot. I would like to hear from Sashi the efforts, the challenges, particularly I don't want to hear only the effort, but the challenges and how we can institutionalize this agenda of digital literacy at the bottom of the pyramid.
Hello. Thank you. Thanks for the opportunity. See, digital is all about paperless transactions. Doing a digital transaction in a secured way, which will bring in efficiency and accuracy. Like for example, you do eKYC for a customer onboarding. Like you do a collections in a digital way, you do a disbursements in a digital way. And not just the customers, even the staff documents, you can digitize it. No, digital is there not only in our day-to-day business needs, it also entered in our personal aspects. Like, you can control your home in a digital way. You can open your door, close your door, you can operate the washing machine, you can swipe, wipe, broom your room, using in a digital way. So the digital has occupied not just the business needs, in our personal needs as well. If you look at the pre-digital arena, there was a physical media where, the newspapers or the TV, that was a communication, where it was only a one-way communication. The dissemination of the information was very slow, and the availability of the information was very high, but the reach of the information to the grassroots level was very slow. So the digital has transformed the way we do business, the way we interact with each other. It has transformed the entire world. It has created jobs and created the economy. Now, to leverage the digital in our MFI space, I'm connecting the dot now, is digitizing all our transaction is the only way. Now, to do this, digital literacy of customers, digital literacy of our staff is very important. Now, it is a responsibility, lack of the digital literacy will lead to fraud. Now, it's a responsibility of the organizations to ensure two points. One, create digital awareness to the staff. Number two, develop the apps which are in such a way that even a non-digital person should be able to perform the transaction. Like issues, if you say, there are a lot of phone pay the collections are coming in a phone pay, disbursements are happening in NEFT. Issues when you see in these digital transactions is, let's say when borrower does a transaction using a QR code. Now there will be a group of members, passbooks are sequentially put. Now by mistake she may scan her co-member's passbook. It's possible. So then the EMI goes to the wrong borrower, right? So that's possible. So how do you avoid such kind of issues? Digitization is there, but there are a lot of issues there in the field. To avoid that, there are solutions such as, voice-based. Like you can do a voice-based financial transactions. Like our customer cannot read, but they can listen, and they can do a financial transaction in a voice-based. And NPCI support this in a local language. Like you can do, most of our customers do not have these smartphones. Now, NPCI supports feature phone. You can do UPI transaction on a feature phone as well. Like you can do a voice-based voice bots, right? You can do a voice bot-based transactions, financial and non-financial transactions. So these things will, allow the customer to do the digital transaction, though they are not having a smartphone, though they do not know the digital transaction, they can do it. And to the staff, it is, you can conduct awareness programs, organization can conduct awareness programs, and also the very important app is the MDM. If you can install the MDM that to protect the data privacy and also the office, the staff malicious activities can be avoided.
Great. Thank you very much. I think Shashi has brought in a very important issue, and let me share a quick example, my real life experience. I was recently in a very remote village of Samastipur, and we wanted to see the digital collection, as simple as that, because that's. But the member of my JLG had no clue, but she wanted to do digital payment. And what she did is, I saw a young girl, around 17 years, her daughter, coming with a big, not a smartphone, it was a little iPad, like a pad. She came and she said, I have to move a little bit outside my house because the signals are better and I'll be doing the digital payment. I think the whole focus of digital literacy has to move from customers to their younger generation.
Right.
Because their daughters and sons, their aspiration within the family is that the children who are studying need to have a smartphone or a feature phone, whatever we talk about. And they are already in WhatsApp and Instagrams and Reels and all this. For them to get mainstream is very important, and that's something which is building within the family. we keep pushing a 45-year-old lady or a 38-year-old lady who is not even still sitting in a vale in a village. Abhi घूंघट भी नहीं हटाया है, and we are asking her to use the Samsung or a smartphone and become digital champion. I think we need to restart rethinking about innovations. Also about digital literacy, the request to the service provider, as you rightly mentioned, come with solutions, which are very fundamental and which can be very user-friendly at the bottom of the pyramid. Just remember that who is going to use it, but also remember how it's going to contribute to the larger ecosystem of MFI. Because if anything which is not contributing to the larger system, your customers, which are MFIs who pay for you, won't going to use it at all. So I think these are, I strongly feel the whole conceptualization of digital literacy, the whole implementation plan, and how the MFI, our staff don't have time, they are busy doing disbursement or collection or OD collections now, and asking them to do digital literacy of our customer is like, we know that's not real. Rajesh is already shaking his head. So how it's going to reach, what special efforts, the cost is an issue, who can support us in this, but as MFI we are fully committed, we know that this is not a philanthropy, it's the need of the business hour, and if we need to sustain this sector, digital literacy is the solution. It's a strategic business choice. Last but not the least, a subject which looks very difficult for all of us, but now all of us are getting burdened and every day, and Dinesh touched upon it in the beginning, is about regulatory requirements, compliances, RBI, lenders, investors, everybody asks the broad terminologies which we have never heard in our life, and we are supposed to respond to them in a 24-hour or a 36-hour, 48 hours notice. How do you deal with that? And not as Mutthur, please, because you are big and huge.
Sure.
About small and medium MFIs. Thank you.
Sure. Okay. Yeah. Thank you, Akin. Good morning, everybody. It's as far as MFI is concerned, we are the 100% cloud-based company, first of all, and then we did co-lending with SBI also. Okay. Yeah. That is what the maturity we do have. Yeah. As he already mentioned, I am starting from the base. We can think about a day in our office. You just entering into your office, meeting your security or the receptionist from access control device. Then you are entering, you just imagine that scenario, or then what all security measures are there. Then you have an identity management system. Automatically your access control is enabled with your name or with your fingerprint or with your face, and then entering, and then you are entering into your cabin, you are opening your device, whatever it may be. You may be having 2 or 3, you may be having many accesses, and then Wi-Fi will be a problem, Ethernet will be a problem, and then mail is there, and then you are connecting to your network. Who is enabled, who has given you the permission, you are on which control mechanism, who authorized, who is reviewing, all these matters, correct? So from there we have to start. Then only we can reach to early warning signal or whatever it may be, ML or RPA, whatever it may be. So the basic structure will be based on a security framework, and then to reach to the next level, whatever it may be, small or big, both are same. It's the cost matters, correct? But no, it's actually the size can be controlled. So once you will be getting an access, on what basis, who has authorized, and everywhere, whatever you will be doing, no, you need to have a reviewer. A creator should be there, and a reviewer should be there, and an authorizer should be there. And also, all depends on your policy. Got it? I hope I have touched many points. It is all big areas. It's a policy, framework, access review, audit, whatever VAPT or whatever things will be happening, no, then endpoint protection, automatically. Endpoint protection and firewall is already touched up. Firewall is giving you permission, and then the static IP will be going to, or ISPs will be permitting you to connect to your databases, correct? And database may be on a on-premise or maybe on a cloud, on a SaaS or a PaaS, whatever it may be. Okay, so all are required permissions. Then API will come up. API, then automatically data encryption. Encryption need to be have different kind of encryption softwares, and then service vendor will come. You do have an SLA, correct? That SLA need to be, every year need to be verified. You renew. It's all matters. All matters. No excuse. Got it? Every year you need to renew the contract. Once you have failed on this, it is a failure. You are failed. No chance. That is what the regulator is saying. Then automatically, whatever there, no, it's actually a CISO need to be there, a CTO need to be there. Likewise, mandatory positions are required, CRO, okay, whatever it may be. Then automatically vendor risk assessment will be there. Every vendor you will be onboarding, vendor risk assessment is compulsory. Okay, like Sensi or whatever it may be, we have already seen many issues with different market. Whoever will be available, for lending business or co-lending business or service provider or a technology provider, whatever it may be, you need to review how he will be. There is a list of items need to be reviewed with how the risk management should be happened or done, and then you can onboard him and the similar kind of things. It's actually, then I have touched up many points, and then I can go to detail also. We can think about, for example, like I am on cloud. For example, even you are in an on-premise model, then data center is required, BCP, DR, okay, DR drill need to done. That is compulsory once in 6 months. Okay, it's all compulsory. It's not as per the master direction. IT outsourcing, it's a clear mandate is there, how you can outsource, what will be the bracket there. It's all are mandated by the regulatory, and then we have to abide by, correct? So, how we can achieve all these things? It's all that much big, but it is achievable. So, for example, like an on-premise setup you have, then it should be 100% protected. Then the same kind of access review is required. The person who is already authorized to enter there, the register, how it is protected, cooling system, it's a basic things. And then the connectivity matters. And then outer perimeter security, the EDR will be, like earlier we have thought about antivirus. Now antivirus is nowhere. It's actually now it is all different patterns. It's behavior based mechanisms now. EDRs, XDRs, and then it is going to next level. SIM, SOAR. It's all these logs will be collected, retention of logs, and then it's a verification of these logs. And normally security operating center is required, but it is on a bigger manner, but we can achieve on a smaller kind of a thing. So actually we can appoint a person to monitor it, and retention period can be lower or bigger. That depends on the data and the criticality, but data is critical for everybody on the same manner, correct? The customer is important. So customer data, how we can protect the customer data? So customer data should be kept in your database. That database should be protected in the manner where you have already kept everything. That DPDP already came up. So a data protection office is required now. So it's all connected and binded with whatever measures required. So every day you have to think about how you are entering to the office, and the similar manner you have to treat the data.
Thank you very much. I heard two very important words which really sparked my mind. One was, there's no excuse. We cannot say we are small or medium, there's no excuse. And if I have onboarded even one customer, I have to ensure data protection for that one customer. There are no excuses for that. And I think this mindset for the small and medium MFIs has to come in. Also, I have a request. I was talking to Dr. Saibal, and GE sir is here, that we have such an eminent panel here. But small and medium MFIs, maximum can hire an AGM or a GM. We don't have CTOs. But they can become mini CTOs of my company if they interface with Paul, if they interface with Shashi, if they interface with Ram. Because they don't get chance to interface with them, and I cannot teach them. I'm not a technology expert. I don't know what to do. If I try to do that, I'm going to create a mess. So an opportunity window need to be created where these interfaces happen. Smaller and medium MFIs, my AGM, GM is my CTO. And he has to learn what he just said, some basic principles which are non-negotiable. At the same time, the service providers has to ensure that non-negotiables, even they should say, if you are using my software, you are on a SaaS model, this is something which you need to ensure as a company. Otherwise, my brand is at risk, and I'm not going to provide my software to you until you are meeting these requirements. But I don't hear that because it's a very commercial, transactional business right now. Great, thank you very much. I think we are doing very good with time. 10 full minutes for the open house. Questions to the panelists. Please go ahead, pass on the mics, please. Can somebody help with the mics, please? Yeah, thank you. Please go ahead. Keep your question very specific and brief, and question, no deliberations, please.
Yeah, good morning to all. I'm Vipin. I'm from Microcredit Federation, Mount Soft. So I have two questions. One is on digital literacy from Mr. Shashi, and second is on regulatory requirement from Mr. Paul. So on digital side, Mr. Shashi said there is an app called MEM. So I want to understand what is this what is it? MDM. Yeah. So I want to understand what is this MDM.
Yeah,
And then you also, I think, talk about voice bot. So I want to understand what is this. So these are the two questions from you.
MDM I will address. It's actually that is more or less related to security. It's a mobile device management. That's a protection mechanism for controlling the mobile devices. It will be getting a dashboard to control whatever devices you have deployed in the market.
And how can we get it?
We can purchase the third-party products are available in the market.
From the
it's
guys only, from the partner side.
Yeah, it's lot of products are available. Samsung, suppose you are using Samsung, then Knox is the Samsung MDM, and the Microsoft, there is a Intune is the Microsoft MDM. Likewise, Manage Engine is having MDM. Likewise, almost all people, likewise these brands. We will tell you.
How will this help us as a business point of view?
I didn't get you.
How will this help us as a business point
it's like, no, it is a control device. We can control whatever devices you have deployed in your market. Yeah, it is controllable. You can switch off the device also. It's a geofencing. Likewise, it is going which all areas, and then we can control the device, and we can control which all softwares need to be installed there.
So all our field officers, we provide the same device is theirs. Okay, that mobile is their device, and they move with that device and they move out of the company. Till they are in the company, it needs to be managed. That device needs to be managed, and that's where MDM comes in.
So Adil, I just want to give the use case. I mean, he will get a better clarity of the answer. Being a security side, I will be more happy to answer that. See, MDM stands for mobile device management. So more or less, we are giving a tab devices to the field staff for collection, for onboarding, and all those things. Now, this is a company given tab. So company has authorized, or even some of the case it's BYOD as well, right? Now, my customer app or my company app is given in this tab. Now, from morning 7 till maybe evening 6, the field agent is doing the business operational. After going home, what he's doing? Is he using this tab for personal purpose? Is he watching movies? He is watching YouTube. That things to be controlled, we can control via MDM remotely. He might be visiting some malicious site, torrent pe jaake videos dekhna. He can do anything because the tab is in his control. Open internet hai, 3G, 4G speed mil raha hai. Movies dekho, time pass karo. But he don't know in the background if he is visiting torrent, what are the malicious things coming in the tab. And once those things are compromised, it will attack to my server. So how I will control my endpoint, even though it is in remote location, I can prevent which URLs will be opened, which apps to be installed, who can log in, till what time to what time tab is allowed to use, it will stop automatically. So these are the processes and policies I can define centrally, and once the device is registered against that policy, automatically the tab will be controlled by the company centrally.
Thank you. And the second question, which is very from Mr. Paul only.
Voice bot.
Yeah. The reason I mentioned voice, like two things I mentioned. One is voice-based transactions, financial and non-financial, and voice-based non-financial transactions as well. See, two things. When a customer does a QR code payment, by mistake she may scan her co-member, so she will not know. Her daughter will come and she will scan some passbook. So the wrong member passbook, EMI will go to the wrong member. These we are seeing in our day-to-day. Voice, what happens is, you can give a call to the customer's mobile number. There will be a bot which will be talking, and there's an AI built in. If you built in AI into that, based on the response of the customer, then the next question the bot will frame. Like I'll give one use case. Let's say for a P2P, promise to pay. Right? You have a EMI, you can implement this in a local language also. Some banks have implemented this as well. I've not seen the MFI space, but we can implement this in MFI as well. So bot will say that you have a EMI due coming on, say 23rd June, right? 23rd June and so amount. Please keep the amount ready. customer will say that, okay, I will keep the amount ready. Or customer may say that, no, I'm going out to please send a person. Then bot can, based on the response of the customer, it's a AI built, it can frame up the next question. So where should I send? Right? Then customers can tell that different date or a different location or location. Then the bot will capture all that data, and all this data will be lying in the system. So based on the response of the customer, then the system can decide whether the customer, himself will ensure that the balance is there in the account, or we can send a person to them. This is one use case. Another use case, like for example, our loan collections. Now, most of MFIs who are implemented the digital collections, they are using a QR code based, or send an SMS link to the customer mobile and do the payment. Voice based, what will happen is, you give a call to the customer register mobile number, and based on the response, let's say she can do a one-time setup of the automatic EMIs also, or a weekly based manual also she can pay. Voice based it will ask the customer, do you want to set up the automatic EMIs? Then based on the response, yes, if you say, then the number which we are talking to, automatically the system can scan the banks, and it will tell you that you have account in ICICI Bank, HDFC Bank, but how you do a phone pay. It's a manual app based. This is the same thing, functionality is same, but it will say voice based, and NPCI supports this. It will tell you the ICICI Bank, HDFC Bank, it will list all the bank names, which bank you want to link. Then you will tell that, as customer will say that, no, I want to link my ICICI Bank. Then it will read out the customer account holder name. This is the account holder. It will confirm.
Like e-commerce, what we did, like NEFT details and everything.
But this is all on a voice base. There's no web page over here.
So I'm sure over the tea you can have a little more discussion on this. Yeah. I would like the mic to get passed on to other people. Thank you very much. 2 questions answered.
I want to understand, Mr. Valla, what are the non-negotiable?
We'll discuss that over the tea. You can catch up with the panelists. Just a reminder to Shashi also that our customers change their mobile number very frequently, and field officers don't update that. So that need to be taken ground reality. Yes, please.
Myself is Ravi Anand. I am from Sa-Dhan Credit Care. मेरा मानना है टेक्नोलॉजी एडॉप्शन जो हम बात करते हैं, हम जहाँ टायर 2 टायर 3 सिटीज़ पे काम करते हैं, जहाँ पर लिटरेसी लेवल ना के बराबर है, इफेक्टिव ट्रेनिंग के बिना कोई भी टेक्नोलॉजी हमारी आती है, वो एक फ्रॉड को जनरेट करती है. चाहे वॉइस बोट ले लो, ई साइन ले लो, कुछ भी ले लो. तो हम हमारा सवाल सर ये कि इफेक्टिव ट्रेनिंग के लिए हम टेक्नोलॉजी को कैसे यूज़ करें कि ये स्प्रेड आउट हो प्रॉपर.
मेरे ख्याल से आप थोड़ा सा देर से ट्रेनिंग पे हमने बहुत बात करी आज, और जॉइंट जिम्मेदारी की बात करी गई है, नॉलेज बेस क्रिएट करने की बात करी गई है, सर्विस प्रोवाइडर्स और MFIs इस कॉस्ट को क्या शेयर कर सकते हैं, क्या कोई स्पेशल टेक्निकल असिस्टेंस हो सकती हैं, जहाँ पर एम्प्लॉयज़ की ट्रेनिंग और क्लाइंट की ट्रेनिंग, जहाँ पर हम डिजिटल लिटरेसी की बात कर रहे हैं, वो दोनों होना बहुत ज़रूरी है. ये एक बहुत कॉस्ट इंटेंसिव एक्टिविटी है जी. उस पर चर्चा हुई है सुबह से कि उसको कैसे हम लोग एड्रेस करेंगे. थैंक यू वेरी मच. नेक्स्ट क्वेश्चन प्लीज. यस प्लीज, द माइक कैन गो एट द एंड.
सचिन जोशी फॉर सुमग्या माइक्रो फाइनेंस. तो मेरे 2 बेसिक छोटे क्वेश्चन हैं. पहला क्वेश्चन मेरा ये है, जैसे हम किसी थर्ड पार्टी के साथ को लैंडिंग या BC लैंडिंग में जाते हैं, तो उस केस में क्या मुझे आधार, जैसे मैंने बैकग्राउंड में मास्क कर रखा है, क्या मुझे उसको आधार शेयर करना मैंडेटरी है? अगर कोई करता है यहाँ पे तो किस तरीके से करता है? सेकंड क्वेश्चन इज दैट, अगर मेरी कंपनी का QR कोड है जिस पे क्लाइंट पेमेंट करता है, तो कई बार क्या होता है, वो जो स्क्रीनशॉट आते हैं फील्ड ऑफिसर की तरफ से कि ये पेमेंट हो गई है, वो मोस्ट ऑफ द टाइम उसमें कुछ केसेस फ्रॉड भी होते हैं. तो उसके लिए क्या करना चाहता है, बैंक से रिकनसाइल करना पड़ता है UTR. क्या कोई टेक्नोलॉजी में ऐसा कोई सिस्टम आप लोग अडॉप्ट कर रहे हो, ऐसा यूज़ कर रहे हो कि वो एट ए टाइम रिकनसाइल हो जाए, जिसकी वजह से मुझे फ्रॉड को रोक सके वाला फील्ड का? तो ये 2 मेरे क्वेश्चन हैं.
बिल्कुल ऑपरेशनल क्वेश्चन है. दिनेश गो हेड. माइक है.
हम जब भी कोलैंडिंग की बात कर रहे हैं, तो कोलैंडिंग में जहाँ पर भी हम कस्टमर्स के साथ या हमारे जो पार्टनर्स हैं, अगर उनको हमको KYC शेयर करना है, जैसा आपने कहा कि आपको आधार शेयर करना है, तो आइडियली KYCs जो होती हैं वो आधार है, वो मास्ट है, वो शेयर कर सकते हैं आप उनको. मास्क आधार दिया जा सकता है प्रोवाइडेड कि आपका API इंटीग्रेशन हो. मोस्टली APIs के थ्रू डेटा डायरेक्टली उनके पास चला जाता है. तो आधार मास्क इज़ यस, यू कैन शेयर विद देम.
विदाउट मास्क
नहीं, विदाउट मास्क तो वो तो आपके पास भी नहीं रख सकते सर. आपको
आई
तो
एम नॉट
हाँ
मतलब पुटिंग इन माय सिस्टम ना, सो हाउ कैन आई से दैट?
हाँ, आप मास्क रख सकते हैं, मास्क शेयर कर सकते हैं। विदाउट मास्क तो आप आपके सिस्टम में भी नहीं रख सकते, उसके लिए आपको आधार वोल्ट की ज़रूरत होगी। इवन आप आधार नंबर्स भी सिस्टम पे स्टोर नहीं कर सकते, दैट इज़ अ मैंडेटरी थिंग।
There's a Supreme Court ruling on this, so we have to be very careful on that front.
Okay, and next
I
one is
think-
for QR code.
Yeah, thank you. On the QR code, we are using QR code for digital collection. उसकी वजह से कुछ frauds बढ़े हैं। एक बहुत बड़ी डिबेट हो रही है। मैंने डेलिब्रेशन में सुना कि सेंटर कल्चर खत्म हो गया डिजिटल कलेक्शन की वजह से, और उससे पूरी फाउंडेशन चरमरा रही है एमएफआई सेक्टर की। वही सेंटर कल्चर को वापस लाने की बात हो रही है। क्या डिजिटल कलेक्शन सोल्यूशन है? वेरी ब्रीफली रैम, दैट्स द लास्ट क्वेश्चन।
ओके, सो सी ये हो रहा है, अभी तक सॉल्यूशन फुल फ्लेजेड रोल आउट नहीं हुआ है। इवन वी आर ऑल्सो फेसिंग द सेम इशू। हमको भी आते हैं फ्रॉड, काफ़ी सारे ऐप्स आते हैं, आप अमाउंट डालो, स्कैन कर लो, वो दिखा देगा सक्सेसफुल पेमेंट, स्क्रीनशॉट लेके भेज दिया जाता है, एक्चुअली फ्रॉड वो पेमेंट होता नहीं है। सो मोरलेस आते हैं, स्पेशली नॉर्थ ऑफ इंडिया से ज़्यादा फ्रॉड्स वगैरह के रिपोर्ट होते हैं स्काई के। और इसको प्रोटेक्ट करने का एक तरीका है डायनामिक क्यूआर, आजकल जो कि आने वाला है, विच इज़ येट इन इमर्जिंग स्टेज, जहाँ पे आप किसी भी आप जैसे स्टोर पे चले जाते हो, रिलायंस के स्टोर पे या कहीं पे, आपका जो एक्चुअल अमाउंट होता है ऑटोमेटिकली क्यूआर कोड डायनेमिकली जनरेट होता है, आप स्कैन करते हो, आपको कुछ पंच इन नहीं करना है, आपको सिर्फ पिन डाल के सबमिट करना होता है। सो इट इज़ ऑलरेडी देयर, काफ़ी सारे अडॉप्टेशन चल रहा है। जब ये डायनामिक क्यूआर कोड होगा, ऑटोमेटिकली उसका जो ट्रांजैक्शन आईडी रहेगा वो आपको इमीडिएटली रिकंसिलेशन में भी हेल्प करेगा कि अमाउंट बैंक तक पहुंचा है नहीं पहुंचा।
Thank you very much. We'll be summing up this session. We are well in time. Thank you very much to all the.
एक क्वेश्चन सर, अभी सर फेस वॉक का चल रहा है यूआईडीआई से ई-केवाईसी का, क्या ये आरबीआई द्वारा फुल केवाईसी के लिए ऑथराइज्ड है कि नहीं, ये थोड़ा मैं जानना चाहता था।
क्लैरिटी नहीं है अभी, चर्चा चल रही है और साधन is picking up this issue. Thank you. Thank you to all the panelists. We'll be closing this session. Take away for Sa-Dhan and for all the service providers. We are talking of cost sharing, cost adaptability. We can't, each one of us can't bear those growing costs, both of onboarding as well as maintenance. We need to create a knowledge base where a lot of interface and exchange can happen. API integration, be it BC and co-lending, need to come with a very pragmatic solutions. Regulatory compliances, requirements need to be proactively fulfilled by the service providers. Credit underwriting, credit worthiness, fraud, right candidate getting, right customer getting the our loans is something where the tech has to really play a very important role. Digital literacy as an agenda in itself, and security frameworks, no choice. We can't take any excuses on that. Thank you very much. Let's give a big hand to our panelists. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Khan and the other dignitaries for this interactive session. Now I would like to invite Gigi sir to give some small token of appreciation to our dignitaries.
To the panelists first. Please. I, sir. Either, Ajay, please, each one of you.
हाय सर,
ऊपर ही आ जाइए। इधर ही आ जाइए।
ओके,
Start with the panelists. Let's give a big hand.
Thank you, everyone. Now we will break for a small tree breaks, as Amrish ji is requesting only for 10 minutes. So we'll
pick up your tea and come.
yeah, and we hope to gather here by 11:50 then. Design this session and then Mr. Balaji can take over. So we will break in 5 groups and we have 5 topics here mentioned in the screen, and each group will discuss the possible solution and challenges in that particular topic. So I'm handing over this session to Mr. Balaji.
Hey, so thanks. Based on the panel discussion, I'll just give you a sense of what we're going to do here, right? So it's like a workshop format. No pitches, no speeches. The floor is yours. I know there are a lot of people, but we kind of making sure that we are able to cover these 5 problem statements that came about. I'll just talk about the first one, and the format is as follows. There are solution providers sitting back with certain skills and areas. So each of them will be part of your respective tables as well. We're having 5 tables so that we're able to cover everyone. The way the flow would be that we just want one facilitator in each of those tables, 1 or 2. Already spoken to the service provider, so you will be playing the role of the facilitator. We pick up which table based on the topics subsequently. The expectation and thought process is as follows, right? We'll give 5 minutes first to unpack the problem, right? The problem is at a very one level, go to a certain degree of one level below, where the panelists will be part of the, so the expectation is that the demand will come from the MFIs, which basically means the panelist and the MFI side. So they will help in articulating the challenge. I'm hoping that the panelists who have understood the problem will delve it a little deeper. Spend just 1 minute on explanation of the problem itself, right? The second step is for each of you, because there are going to be 10 to 12 in each table. We're not going to have a discussion because we don't have 1 hour, 2 hours, right? There are posters on that. Please think about the challenge and then say, how do you envisage the solution, right? So for example, agar a problem statement hai, unable to drive digital adoption owing to end user literacy as well as loan officer. So what do you see as a solution topic, right? You had spoken about this right? So what is your suggestion on solutions? 5 minutes, just put it in your post-it, ek karke, takes them 5 minutes for doing that. Each of you will do it individually, no discussion. Then a minute later, we will, out of those, you just let the ideas keep flowing, because this is all about ideas and not getting restricted to a solution right away. Once you see all that generating in 5 minutes, take 1 minute to just pick 2 items out of it. Huh? Sure. So once you have those 2, then you will have, then put those, exactly those 2 topics on your chart, right? Which basically means that if there are 10 people, 10 into 2, 20 items will come. Each of you will then have an opportunity for 2 minutes to talk about those 2 items. Because if you just restrict it to your first step, then you will not be able to filter out. So filter out karke sirf 2 item lo, and then you will have an opportunity to speak amongst yourself on those 2, right? So if there are 10 people, 10 into 2, 20 topics could happen. Some of them would be similar, so let's be okay with it if it is common. So you will probably run up to 10 to 15 items. Then please, we'll take another 5 minutes. I'll run the clock here. I'm just giving you a sense of what is likely to happen, right? Don't get too confused about it. I'll keep telling you at every stage what to do. Finally, after you have this discussion, then the table will vote for top 5, because we can't solve for everything, right? You have 20 ideas. From 20 ideas, you will have to filter to top 5 ideas, right? So every problem ka 5 to 7 solutions aayega, which will be your conclusion of it for us to take away. And I will replay all these issues with problems back as a report, which can be given by Sa-Dhan to all of you, right? Any questions on the flow, thought process? Yeah, if not, so this is the topics for today, right? The first is about unable to drive digital adoption owing to end user literacy issues as well as loan officer readiness. It's all about digital literacy, training, the lack of training, and things around that, right? That's something also Sa-Dhan Care spoke about. So those who feel inclined to take the topic may please come to table 1. Please move, otherwise we just assign directly, right? Anyone prefers to talk about a solution for the topic, please come here. So this is on table 1. The second topic is around technology costs, which continue to be prohibitive. That's the conversation that we had. And also, there's additional costs around support, maintenance, and all of that, right? So solutioning around that. So what do you envisage as solutioning, right? So that's the second topic. The third topic is about, this is the second table. Yeah, this is the first table, this is the second table. So those who wish to move to this table, please move. There are only 5 tables. The third table is around credit underwriting, which is table number 3 there, which is around credit underwriting. The thinking is around 2 things. One is about fraud prevention. There's also about income assessment. So things around credit underwriting and the challenges around that is table number 3 there. Yeah, that's 3. Table number 4, which is that one, is related to regulatory supervision and controls. It's things around challenges on regulatory controls, the ability to make changes swiftly. All the top challenges related to managing regulatory controls and challenges are in topic number 4. It's also related to things like skills, right? We spoke about large MFIs have the ability, but the small MFIs may not, right? So that's second table number 4. That's the last table there, table number 5, which is like one of the challenges that is like when you do digital adoption, you find that the group lending goes away, right? So people are not able to marry the two. So what should be the method to marry both? You drive digital adoption, group lending avatar changes, but you still maintain that, right? So solutions around that is table number 5, right? So these are the 5 tables. Request number 1 is for the solution provider who's interested in supporting this, which is the drive digital adoption and literacy around that. Could you please take the table here, or, Sugam, you want to move any place, please. Yeah, let's move. Yeah? Yeah, please recircle. It's time to start because we need to start. Yeah. Yeah. Table 1 is here. Just to repeat, this is table 1.
I'll repeat again. This is table 1. The middle one is table 2. On my right-hand side, the second table is the table 3. And
that's table 4.
That is table 4. And
that's table 5.
The Dr. Akil Khan is on table 5. I will again announce the topics for each table. Table 1, on the extreme right side of me, the topic is unable to drive digital adaptation owing to end-user literacy issues as well as loan officer readiness.
3, okay, right?
Then the table 2 is the middle one, which have the topic, technology costs continue to be prohibited in adaptation new tech. In addition, support, maintenance, additional cost. Then we have table 3 on the right-hand side of me, the second table. The topic is unable to create a...
You're on 4?
Unable to create a foolproof credit underwriting owing to inability of income assessment, fraud prevention controls. Table 4 is the table just in front of the camera, and the topic is regulatory supervision and controls, while required is a challenge for small MFIs policies technology skills. The table 5 is the table where Dr. Akil Khan is standing, and the topic is digital adoption leads to breakdown of the group culture.
5. Is there anybody else we can give you a totally... all those who are left can come and do one more topic of interest, whichever topic you guys are interested in. Because ideas ki to, we are happy to get more ideas, so you can take one table here. You can use this table, yeah, all of you all can. No, if you guys can't engage, right? But there's less here. Yahan pe kam hai. No, here there are few people less. Up? No? Sit here. You want to participate anyway? There's no solution provider here. No? Okay. So, aapko na. Okay. Just before you start, those who are operating as facilitators, my expectation is a solution provider. Can you just raise your hand? उस पे आपका नाम लिख दीजिए because I'll have to come back to you for any So facilitators, who's the facilitator there? Up, just put your name on that. You're the facilitator. Here too. You're the facilitator. What's your good name? 3, 4. Here. So you're the facilitator? Okay. So all facilitators, your job is to look at the time. एक तो time है. दूसरा, are you in a position to take notes or do you need some help for taking notes? Yeah? So the expectation is a facilitator manages the time, and the second thing is also takes notes, right? Because I'm going to take the notes back and then make my own report for you all to backfill, right? So that's second thing. Now, starting off, and who is from the panel in your respective teams? They need to explain the problem to some extent. So here in the panel, was there anyone who can explain the problem? They can explain the problem, right? So first step, take just 2 minutes to clarify that question in more detail. The facilitator can write down in further detail so that everybody understands कि problem में clarity है. Because the challenge English में लिखा हुआ है, but clarity of the challenge will come only from them, right? In terms of what is the specific challenge to a certain degree of detail, which will allow for this next step, which is more about solutioning. So step 1, next 3 minutes, please start talking about the problem statement, and the facilitator, please write the problem statement in clarity. What we would want at the end of the day is to explain the problem statement very clearly, and then the top 5 to 6 solutions which came as an outcome of the problem, right? That's the goal. Problem statement clarity, and 5 to 7 solutions which come as an outcome of the problem, right? So step 1, problem clarity. Step 2, please distribute the post-its right away so that people can write on the notes ki is problem ka the solution kya hai. So let's start now. Next 3 minutes, problem definition. Problem statement first. I think problem statement should come from you all. Just describe the problem statement बाद में. आप सिर्फ note लिखो. Problem statement, Lindsay, you should come with the problem statement. Problem statement should come from the panelists, please. You all start thinking of solution suggestions on your respective post-its, no discussion.
So those who have clarity on the challenge and the question, that team members can start writing their solution thought process on their respective post-its, no discussion at this stage.
Everybody writing on the solution. I told him we need more of him. I told them no discussion. Write it.
Hello. Can we stop, please? So which team is ready to present? Any team? So can you wrap it up in the chart paper? 2 minutes problem statement solution हो गया. So you all are ready to? You ready? Team 4 is ready. Give them a round of applause. Team 4 gets the early bird prize. I don't know what it is, but something.
So the problem statement and adoption of regulatory changes with respect to technology, skills and retraining, process change, timelines, like for example, fire, the timeline which was given and to get adopted. Understanding and clarity, like, our regulatory says CBS and, there were in their own interpretation. So it is CBS versus CFSS. Data availability and cost of change, like operational cost and technology cost. So we have charted down and, the two main solutions for this, like pre-workshop with regulators facilitated with SROs, involving MFIs, service providers and rich techs to assess the feasibility. So it's not that regulators, give the policies or jot down the policies at their own willing and, this thing, but they should consult and, they should be kind of a pre-workshop. That's what we are telling. And a common platform serving as a checklist for small and medium MFIs to ensure the compliance are met as per the requirement and within the given time frame. So these are the two solutions that we are coming up with. Yeah. So somebody has to take initiative.
So what's the frequency of these regulatory changes? For example, when you do a pre-workshop, right? If every month a circular comes, so do you think that there should be a quarterly meet where they come and explain this? You explain the challenges?
Every time there is a major change, I think what he mentioned, I think there should be pre-workshop that they should call SROs, they should call all the major players, technology players, and that should be discussed well in before, before.
But when you don't do it today, what see you making
Suppose
someone else act for you, right? I'm just trying to understand that.
it is kind of consultation before implementation.
That the service providers take the responsibility to stay on top of the regulations and incorporate it as part of the regular updates.
It's actually even before implementing or releasing the regulatory requirement, no. Even the mandatory regulatory things, no. It's actually the regulator will be releasing the circular. Before that, they can interact with these people, correct?
My only question is, it was not happening before, and we are expecting them to do something which they were never doing. How do you influence that is what I was trying to understand. I was just trying to understand that we put the solution, but the solution is not in our control.
This is a problem statement actually. No, it's like for a problem statement, we are finding out a solution, correct? This solution, if this solution is available, then everybody is happy, correct?
Got it.
That's why.
See, when we talk about Gigi sir, see when we talk about the workshop, we are not talking about the. So I understand, like for example, for the guardrail, there was a kind of a meeting, right? But here we are talking about the pre-workshop with all involved. When we say all involved means it's not only the MFIs, it also has to do with the tech service provider, at least the key ones who are there, and also the RegTech companies. I'll give you one example. See, what happened in 2022, right? So timeline was one of the major concern. It came out on 14th March, and 1st April it was supposed to go live. There was a given, but I'm saying, but if you look at it, for example, the FOIR. Now the calculation of FOIR in terms of the household income itself was not readily available from the credit bureau, right? So, which is still date, is not there. And a lot of people have got their own definition of households, you know? So, and that has triggered a lot of things, correct? So that is one example is what we are trying to position. There can be a lot of these examples. And the second point was, you want to highlight?
The common platform, like all the regulatory submission, small and medium enterprises. So what they're still tracking sometimes in Excel sheets, and they miss out some guidelines or deadlines. So they can adopt the small tools available in the market. So wherein they'll keep reminding themselves, and interpretation is also very important. Sometimes RBI circulate something, they do not able to correctly interpret it. They
creating or submitting something else, then lots of, observation is coming out. So that kind of tool helped them out, small, medium only. So because large organization already adopted that, I guess. And for first point, there's one more point. So in terms of CFSS implementation, that rolled out back in 2022, and the deadline is in September only, right, in current year. Any enterprises who has more than 10 outlets, like 10 branches, they have to implement it. The CBS, that CFSS come out from CBS. It is almost creating equivalent core banking solution. Is small enterprises, small MFIs or small companies with 10 branches or more, maybe 50 branches, are able to, doing that much of expense, are ready to do that much expense. So that is also a big challenge. That's why a consultation is required with RBI. When anything rolled out, any big changes is going to be rolled out.
Fall in place, right? So that is important. Yeah, it's just that it's leading to a solution which still has challenges, so which needs further deep dive. Yeah, okay, thanks. Next group who's ready to go.
People to hear me out, so that's okay. Anyone? I hope I am perfectly audible. Cool. I think this is something that everyone wants to understand. A lot of service providers are here about cost. That is a pain point for a lot of small and medium, MFIs that are here. There were 2 pointers that came out specifically from people who've been running either very large, someone who's in that mid MFI segment. One is either we should build or we should buy. That is one point. And that's a major problem statement that they want to solve as to why we shouldn't be building or should we go out in the market and get someone who can actually get the work done for us. So these are the 2 pointers that came across. On the table itself, I think we had 2 advice. One was saying, okay, let us go out in the market and buy it, because our primary job is to ensure that we are lending the money, right? We are not into the business of tech. We are into the business of lending money. Second gentleman was saying that why can't we do it in-house? Okay. So our solution to it is, and there were 2, 3 complementary problems why the gentleman said, okay, we should actually build it in-house. First problem statement is, whenever he goes to any ancillary party to actually, his complementary problem statement was, whenever he goes to any third party who is giving him or her the solution, they take a lot of lead time. And then the cost also goes high. So for example, as a developer himself, he was saying, I can implement an API, let's say in 2 days. It has taken me 6 months to implement an API. Secondly, I was told that we need 4 developers, 15,000 per day is their cost. So I'm shelling out a lot of money. Plus there's business opportunity cost that is also attributed to it. So I've lost on 2 accounts. One account, obviously, my business not coming up to the curve. Second is I spending a lot of money. So what solution that we've been proposing to them is that as solution or as someone who's providing services, the owner should be on us. For example, we can have very, very tight contractual obligations. Okay. One obligation can be, for example, we are talking about regulatory guidelines that have come in. Let us all service provider take it upon ourselves and say, tomorrow there are 6 guidelines which needs to be implemented. We will do it for you free of cost because this is agnostic to you. This is across the industry and these are the timelines for it. So your business opportunity and compliance part gets taken care of. Second, we are also willing to have some kind of LD contracts in place, right? So for example, if you're not able to deliver a project in a certain time, then the service provider should also step in and say, boss, let's say you've paid me an X amount, I'm willing to, there's a penalty on you because you haven't delivered things to me on time. So that is something that we can actually also do. And third, obviously, I think a lot of service providers and most of the service providers already do that. Whatever your business is, there's always a tiered structure pricing, right? So if your business grows, obviously you shell out more money, but if your business is not doing great, obviously you don't shell out money. So these are the possible solutions to a problem of build versus buy. We firmly believe that buying is idle, for any kind of MFI, especially if you're starting small, and you can take any service provider rather than building things in-house. And then the service provider should also take ownership on themselves. That will give a lot of comfort to gentlemen like him who are saying, my opportunity cost has gone so much. I anticipated to pay 100 rupees, now I'm paying 200 rupees because there's a lot of CRs, customization requests, etc. So this is one of the larger problem that came across. And this is the solution that we've actually tried to provide. I think it covers the other point also, wherein we talked about minimum commitment, can we have penalties, we shouldn't be overcharging. So his point was, let's say you are a third party service provider to me. Now what is happening? I want 5 things to be implemented. Why my cost is going up? I can do it 1 lakh in-house. You are charging me 5 lakh rupees and there is no one to mediate in between. So there also, I think timeline becomes very, very important, and contractual obligation is the only solution probably we could figure out via which you can tighten things up and ensure that before even starting your relationship, everyone is on the same page. One on a lighter note, because a service provider's name came up, won't name them, they're sitting here. So they said we took 6 months to do Tango with them, then we realized, we'll build it ourselves. So we've told him, okay, we'll look at your contracts the way you've actually done it and we'll make it watertight. So that's on a lighter note. Yeah.
How does it still solve the cost?
So first tier
I
is to
understand the solution, right? So technology cost, the solution here. One is
link it
for
to your
everyone
business
to know.
value. First link it to your AUM or business
Yeah.
value.
Okay.
Not just as,
So all contracts need to have the cost is
like
linked.
a minimum plus a link
Okay.
to your business.
Okay.
So move to that structure.
Okay.
And in that, drive tighter contracts on timelines and SLAs and even penalties.
Okay. And for someone who is moving from in-house to a small solution, right, which needs to be really, really low in cost, right? Would you have the incentive to work with them? Is a larger issue. I think he is still running in-house, no, sir? No? You moved out. No, yeah, in-house. So does it solve you? Does the solution help in solving anything?
We are talking about money. Okay? Money has to come out. Either my money gets saved or you share your portion of your money. है ना? Solution पैसे का है. पैसे पे बात हो रही है. Now, all service providers are profit-making institutions, I'm assuming. Some may be in gestation period or they have done their break even there. What part of your profit sharing has to go back, plow back into the sector for the small and medium MFIs, where the cost burden can be reduced? सारे सर्विस प्रोवाइडर AUM linked ही चार्ज करते हैं. So initially my AUM is 10 crore, I am paying very less, and when I become 100 crore, I start paying more, though there are no significant changes in the application. AUM, ये तो one time आपने दे दिया मुझे, मेरा तो AUM बढ़ेगा ही, I am a growing company, so you know that you are going to make money. But my AUM is growing, my payment to you is growing, you are generating more profit. How you can cross, I am not asking you to reduce my cost, but take some of my burden, and which will come back to our solutions where we are talking of digital literacy, we are talking of developing an app. What you are giving me complimentary. आज मैं मोबाइल लेने जाता हूँ, 4 चीज़ें मुझे फ्री देता है, कहता है ये भी ले लो, ये भी ले लो, मैं उसी से खरीदता हूँ जो मुझे एड ऑन दे रहा है. आप मुझे क्या एड ऑन दे रहे हो? कॉस्ट में आपको अपनी जेब से थोड़े पैसे खर्च करने होंगे और उसका बेनिफिट MFIs को देना होगा. एज सिंपल एज दैट. वो सोल्यूशन नहीं दिख रहा है.
Sir, उस scenario में ना,
So let's park this to, because we can't solve it now. So that's an expectation, right? Which is why I don't think there's a business leader here. So that's one expectation. Second thing I was wondering is that, is a shared service construct even meaningful? Like, I'll tell you an example, because we were in small finance banks. I was part of HP and we were doing this, and our competitor was FIS, just to quickly run the story. They ended up with a shared service model. So Bandhan, the ESAF, and there's one more in Suryodaya, for example, right? All of them were FIS. It's a different thing that they went out of FIS, because as they grew, they found that the changes in FIS were very difficult to do, right? Craft Silicon, you all have a SaaS model. Likewise, M2P, you must be having a SaaS model. So will you all be willing to operate on a shared service model is one construct? Because banks don't. Banks बोलते हैं हमको अपना system चाहिए, हम अपना server चाहिए, हम अपना मतलब cage चाहिए, right? Now we have progressed there. So just a thought, right, which will then be like something to think about in terms of if you have 3-4 people who are all small, who are gradually growing, can be a cumulative AUM, right? Because you don't need to have a minimum commitment, so minimum commitment will be easier to manage, right? Is that something as a thought process? I just want to lead that as a thinking process. Ek to what do you give back, because the solution didn't probably think about what do you give back free, because nothing is changing with reference to the current model, right? Regulatory changes, still timeline commitment नहीं है. LD clauses contract में मैंने खुद देखा कि LD clauses होते हैं लेकिन invoke करना मुश्किल है. तीसरा, the cost, there's no recovery or benefit. Changes take its own sweet time, which is why a lot of people still do in-house, right? So we still not solve the problem. My only thinking, what I want to leave with all of you is that, is there a shared service model construct which we want to think about? And the second thing is, what do we plow back? Yeah.
Point of view, and I don't know how many service providers will agree, but the cost that has to come back probably is not money on the table, but it has to go into R&D, innovation, getting the MFI future ready. And if that happens, all other problems will indirectly get solved. Now, if that comes as a part of the contract, I think your problem should be solved.
Because if we send one request for a small change, it comes with a huge budget back to us.
Correct.
As simple as that. फिर हमारी हिम्मत ही नहीं होती है.
Correct.
Ticket raise करने की.
Yeah, something to ponder. Solutions is still a little vague, but yeah, thanks. Yeah. Next team.
I think
Anybody else? Yeah, please.
I think to reduce the cost, the costing, which is according to the AUM, can be slab based, as you are, because the incremental cost is not going to go very high. Like Akhil sir mentioned, initially, if you're paying an X amount for 10 crores, when you're going up to 100 crores, the incremental cost will not go 10x. So the slabs can be worked out on.
Sorry, anyone, you have anything to say? No?
I think all the service providers are thinking we already have a slab-based process. There is no one I can think of who doesn't have, at least.
But
I think majority of I'm coming from that background. So I'm telling you, majority of the the colleagues that I know in the industry who are in the tech service district, they are on the slab-based pricing. Yeah.
absolutely, the slabs are definitely there. But the slab ranges from, say, from the first 100 crore, the next slab is going to be at 1,000 crores. The gap between the slabs has to reduce.
No, but it depends on the negotiation how you do that, right? I mean, somebody cannot put unilaterally like this is the slab, you have to accept it. You can all the way go ahead and negotiate. Though I'm not service provider.
Yeah, okay. So next team, I don't think we've cracked this, but it's something to think through.
What we can do is also, like, maybe we can have a one committee, maybe from Sa-Dhan side and maybe from RBI side, that I don't know. Maybe both can collaborate as an umbrella, and you can both, this committee can sit both with MFI and with service provider, and they can review every after a year or maybe 6 months what new things are coming up in the business and what kind of solution can be provided from both the sides, from maybe from something from MFI and something from the service provider.
Standardize.
Yeah, so it has to become a standardized solution for both the sides.
Standardization solution is a good idea, which means that how do you, for example, how do you reduce the cost of support, as an example, cost of development. So any help that you as a service provider need, the MFIs may be able to say, okay, well, let's standardize. Let's all do these things the same way.
Yes.
It's a good idea. Standardization.
Another issue is, like, suppose in case if you are going for a shared model,
like
shared service or something like how we are using a Karza service. So now the processing time also matters. Like now what will happen is maybe I'll do an integration. Any integration that I do with the software, then what will happen is the loan processing which happens currently, that time is also increased. We don't know. Like I mean when the integration is going to take more time.
I'm only trying to see that the problem of cost may thoda give and take over. Right? So we'll figure out where the balance is, but the limited point is that the cost currently is still a problem. The tiered structure is not solving for it. The fact that regulatory changes are kind of not coming on time, and any new change request ends up in a cost which is not affordable, then there is a hitchy, right? You're not hesitant to go from a in-house to a product, right? And then you suboptimally take a product which is today affordable but not for the future. Then you jump from one to the other, and then you get one elephant which you can't move, right? So the point is we haven't solved the problem now, we can't.
it's 115, but something to ponder, right? Yeah.
एक सजेशन है, हम एक पर्टिकुलर क्या कहते हैं ईओएम के बेस पे हम सपोर्ट की कॉस्टिंग तो फिक्स करते हैं कॉन्ट्रैक्ट के टाइम पे, तो मेरे ख्याल से जो हमारी सीआर की कॉस्टिंग होती है कहीं ना कहीं या तो हमें उस पर डिस्काउंट देना चाहिए या तो नहीं लेना चाहिए, क्योंकि माइक्रो फाइनेंस सब इंटरकनेक्टेड होती है, एक जैसा बिजनेस होता है। अगर मैं एक सीआर इनके हैंड्स पे रेस कर रहा हूँ तो कहीं ना कहीं इनका सिस्टम भी एक एजाइल बन रहा है, सिक्योर बन रहा है, और ये चेंजेस में भी फ्यूचर में इनकी कंपनी को भी चाहिए होगा। पर जनरली क्या कर रहे हैं, वही चेंजेस जो मुझे चाहिए मैं भी कॉस्ट पे कर रहा हूँ, ये उसी फीचर को यूज़ करेंगे बाद में और ये दोबारा वही चेंजेस कराएंगे। पर क्या कहते हैं, अगर ऐसे चेंजेस हैं जो सबके लिए कॉमन हो सकते हैं, उनको हम अपने खुद से इनको मतलब खुद से होना चाहिए कि ये चेंजेस सबके काम आएंगे, तो मैं ये वाला सीआर फ्री ऑफ कॉस्ट करूं। पर अभी क्या होता है, फ्री ऑफ कॉस्ट नहीं होते सीआर, हर सीआर के लिए 5,000 10,000 पर मैन पावर पर डे का हमारा जाता है। तो सीआर के अगर आप फ्री कर देंगे तो बहुत अच्छा हो जाएगा, इससे क्या होता है हमारी सिस्टम बड़ी स्मूथ हो जाएगा।
Okay. So
this knowledge can be shared over lunch and dessert because it's 115.
I just have one sentence to add on that. There are platforms available now which are modular, which are composable, configurable, and if you do that, the cost of building software platforms can be crashed significantly.
Can you please elaborate this modular, which kind of modular?
Okay, maybe you want to. Okay, we'll I think cover it in one
You
of
have
the
a
sessions.
session
Okay.
with partners later, so we will talk about
Okay, so you'll see here we're talking about a challenge which is unable to drive digital adoption owing to the end user literacy issues as well as loan officer readiness. What you see here is solutions first and problem statement later. That's because the group thinks solutions first. So very happy to be a part of this group. The second thing is I think we've used green sketch pen because or marker because we believe in paperless and going green. Okay. So on that lighter note, now let's come to the problem statement. These are the problem statement: the domain knowledge, the technology knowledge, training effectiveness, cultural resistance, particularly for face authentication in case of some women, fraud concerns when agent gives a QR code and gets payment into his personal account, or no compelling reason or incentive for adoption. And lastly, standard non-innovative products. So these are probably some of the problem statements that we thought are the reason for less adoption. And the solution. Now we have bucketed the solution into 4 areas here. But if I have to talk about the overarching theme that is emerging from here, the theme emerging is paperless, presenceless, and cashless. That's the theme emerging here. Now let me talk about the first, paperless. Technology, the app has to be intuitive. It has to be in the vernacular language. It has to be, voice we spoke about, so voice again in the vernacular language, and interactive. If that happens, then the adoption will be higher. Second is adoption, both at the user as well as at the agent level. If we introduce gamification and if we introduce incentives, for example, I was just sharing, if I pay my electricity bill 10 days before the due date, I probably have to pay 10 rupees less. Now that's an incentive for a user. Similarly, for an agent, for doing digital collections, if there's incremental incentive, that can play a role. Third is a secure self-serve app for users. So if the users have the app and they can use paying using UPI payments, it is present in some cases, but that's we think ultimately the game is in building a secure self-serve app for the users, wherein they can pay themselves using various methods. Last is hyper-personalization. So if the OTT apps for millions of users can hyper-personalize that experience, why can't MFI industry do it? So what I mean by this is, why do we have standard loan products? Why don't we have innovative loan products for that particular industry cluster, for that village, for that farmer, which resonates with the need on the ground? Now, obviously, this is again where the software platform has to be configurable to do this, to be able to do this. But if we do this, we will attract new borrowers and the adoption will go up. So that's in a summary the solution.
Does it resonate or any thoughts? Anyone, any thoughts? Point number. Can we get them? Which one works?
Just my thought on point 3, where you mentioned that secure self-serve for the users. So there are many MFIs which came up with a customer-facing app, but that went failure because many customers are not adapting to that thing. So likewise, you are motivating the field staff by giving some incentive. I think there is some incentive needed at the customer level. Taking a personal example, like when Google Pay was launched or Paytm was launched, initially nobody was willing to do the payment. The moment we started getting cashback, 50 rupees aa gaya, 10 rupees aa gaya, everybody got motivated to use that apps. So similarly, when any app is rolled out for the customer, if we motivate them in terms of financial, maybe without small cashback also, which will serve the purpose and customer will more decline doing the digital payments.
Absolutely. So this is, yeah.
करेक्ट ये चीज भी अगर हम इंटीग्रेट करते हैं तो कस्टमर एक मोनोटोनिक नहीं होके एप्लीकेशन को यूज करेगी उसका लड़का यूज करेगा
Bang on, sir. Because that's what.
सर यहाँ पे मेरा एक पॉइंट है व्हाट यू आर टॉकिंग अबाउट द BBPS जो BBPS करते हैं बट इसका हिट आता है MFI के ऊपर एवरी BBPS ट्रांजेक्शन कॉस्ट 4 to 5 रुपीज़ अब वो अगर MFI बेयर करने लग जाए तो इट विल रन इन लॉस वो feasible नहीं होता है कॉस्ट परस्पेक्टिव से सो वी आर ओनली ओपन फॉर द UPI बेस जहाँ पे हमका ट्रांजेक्शन कॉस्ट कम है रिकन्सिलेशन चैलेंजेस कम है BBPS लॉट ऑफ हसल ट्रांजेक्शन कॉस्ट रिकन्सिलेशन कॉस्ट बहुत ओवरहेड है एंड डिफिकल्ट टू इम्प्लीमेंट
So the only point that we're talking about here is there is need for innovation to build platform and new use cases which will increase adoption. Individual examples can be debated and brainstormed, separately.
Will it work in a group mechanism? Yes. It works in a group mechanism?
It's a company
Okay.
app. It's not a company app. It's a company app. There's a WhatsApp पे सबके phone पे है. It's your company app which will be on phones of all your customers.
No, but as a group, how do they work then?
A group जैसा.
User is a single user.
Okay. So I have one suggestion here, which they have asked that can we have a different payment options available in customer app? Yes, it can be, but that is something which we would like to come from the technology service providers. See what is happening today. I have a customer app, and I have built and pay option there. Okay, but that is for the UPI. So in case of that, customer is willing to pay the EMI. Let him pass through the UPI. Then it is in. There is no charge on me. But let the application have the functionality of other payments also. For example, the customer can, why the customer will be having my application? When there is a different application available in the market, right? He can use PhonePe, Paytm, other things. But if we are able to integrate the different functionalities, for example, BBPS or electricity bill, mobile recharge, if we are able to take those integrations in our customer application, then it becomes more adaptable, right? Then customers can download that application and he can start using that application. But that is something which should come from the technology service provider. And in that case, we will be able to differentiate these two transactions, right? For our payment, it will be yes, there is no charges. However, if he tends to go for electricity bill or other, there will be charges. But then customer is aware of it and he is getting incentivized for that.
I completely agree to you. Now, in that case, we need to talk to BBPS guy to reduce the transaction charges.
मोबाइल चार्ज का ऑप्शन देते हैं हाँ आई एम नॉट टॉकिंग अबाउट BBPS
Yes, that's a good thing.
Consolidating.
आज हम अपना एप्लीकेशन में अगर एक अपनी एप्लीकेशन लॉन्च करते हैं उसमें एक मोबाइल चार्ज का ऑप्शन रखते हैं व्हाइट लिस्ट कराते हैं किसी कंपनी से कस्टमर पेमेंट करती है उसको भी फायदा होता है एक पोर्शन इंसेंटिव का आपको भी मिलता है कमीशन तो दोनों का विन टू विन ये है
I think it's got to be driven with the various things which I've already talked about, right? So there's a technology piece, there's adoption. We've done this incentives for field staff, not really done incentives for customers. Obviously, we thought it was not something we should do upon that way, right? But I think there's a broader thing about not just payments, right? It's got to do more than payments. Now, BBPS, I don't know, I mean, it's a good thing, but there's so many providers out there, so many apps out there already. It's going to be difficult for us to compete against all of that, right? That's a dedicated model in itself. We've also been grappling with it, but the other thing which we do, the center meetings, is also baked into the app, right? We're trying to build it across the customer's journey around payments, center meetings.
I just want to putting a caution note in the group today in the room. The MFI sector is struggling because it became transactional in nature. The whole genesis of MFI was on social cohesiveness, coming together, reaching out to the bottom of pyramid, giving them assurances we are reaching to your doorstep without any corruption, without any malpractices, we'll be meeting your financial needs. And in last many years, now we are purely transactional in nature. Right now, what we are talking is only of transactions. If we narrow down the perspective of technology only to transaction, we are not adding any value to MFI. We are not adding any value to the ecosystem. And this is the challenge of the ecosystem right now. We need to go back, and everybody's talking now going back to basics, is about using technology to bring back the cohesiveness. That the apps we are talking about should not be limited only for transactions. It should be a means to connect with your last customer, the last milestone. Can we use these apps for digital? I remember during the COVID, a lot of small videos and all that was sent, and it was well received. At least 30-40% viewed it. Some viewed it half, some viewed it full. But it was a means of communication. I'm a little worried. The discussion has narrowed down only to payments and transactions. Please, the ecosystem need to revive back, and the technology also has to contribute, and to the service provider, it's an opportunity window for all of you, that if you come with the proposition, everybody's talking of slabs, AUM link, fees, this, that. Give me a solution that can I bring back the group cohesiveness? Can I bring back the social collateral? Can I bring back the culture of the MFI? Can I bring back that assurance and transparency? Can I gain the trust of the customer? आज तो customer किसी भी MFI का सगा नहीं है, वो किसी MFI को belong नहीं करता है. वो कहता है आप तो ब्याज पे पैसा देते हो और वापस लेते हो. Why should I relate with you? That everything has turned only to transactional. My humble submission to the group will be, please start looking outside the box. Transactional is the basic, it's the soul, it's fundamental because we are in a lending business. But the value addition we are talking about, the value proposition we are talking about, has to come as part of solutions.
Fair point. I mean, you have something to say? You want to say something?
Thank you.
No. Yeah, and last group. No problem, I have no problem. I don't have lunch, so I'm okay.
Hello.
And then I will reach out to you for
Okay, sorry for my handwriting. It's pretty bad, and also a lot of spelling mistakes because completely technology ने handicap कर दिया है auto correct के लिए. Okay, so our problem is unable to create a foolproof credit underwriting owing to ability of income assessment and fraud. So here we are classifying the credit assessment into the two different parts. One is the customer and the bureau. Now coming to the customer side, if you see, so every MFI is doing the income assessment in their own way. Some are just writing a junk value, but एक ही box दिया है, write the income, 15,000 है, 20,000 कमाता है, 25,000. So there's no bifurcation to it. Some are going to one level down. What are the source? What is the nature of income? Is it a agriculture? It is a pension? It is some subsidy? Is it some other kind of rent also? So some are going to that level. So here I propose that there should be a Sa-Dhan should help in building up a unified model where an income assessment to be recorded. So if I talk like somebody saying my source of income is agriculture, then the next level will be what kind of agriculture he into, kitna zameen hai, 1 biga, 1.5 biga, what kind of crops he is doing. Is it a seasonal, is it a tropical fruits, it is a vegetables, it is a grains, and what is the nature of income. So handling the irregular income, like गेहूं आज बो दिया 3 महीने बाद उसका इनकम आएगा. So it is a quarterly income, is it a half yearly, once in a year, or every month, and also the frequency in which the income is getting generated. So those kind of granularities are required during the income assessment. So we need a model wherein all these parameters are in place up to level 3, level 4, level 5, having the nature of income, the type of income, and the depth and the individual amount. And the holistically amount is taken as a income assessment which will be used for the credit assessment point of view. So that was the one part for the customer side. Coming to the bureau side, now many of the bureaus or CICs are giving the surround solutions. Like if you are giving a request to the CIC that this is my PI of the customer, give me the bureau is. So instead of directly calling a bureau, CIC also provides surround solution like verify that CIC is first, whether the KYC is proper or not, whether the voter ID is proper or Aadhaar is proper or some other information which is given is proper or not. Accordingly, once we get a green hit on the verification side, you can proceed for the next step of bureau. So directly instead of going bureau, first verify the KYC and do the bureau. That is one thing. Another one is which many of us are even doing now, which is one of the mistake is even in repeat cycle, whenever customers are appearing for the next cycle of loan, we are calling the bureau information basis on the current application request. If we have a history of the customer, maybe last time he had given some different KYC, different phone numbers, different addresses, CIC also provides an API format where we can put these additional information, additional addresses, additional phone numbers, additional KYCs. More or less, we pass it as a blank. We only focus on the current application PII information only. So it is a time we have to flood all the information available from the history to make a better use case to get a proper hit in the bureau. So, and not the least, where we are dealing with more than one KYC, during the verification, we need to compare the output of the KYCs also. Like if voter ID is giving me the name, address, or age band, same this also the Aadhaar is also giving. We have to compare the output of the different KYCs for the better due diligence. And once this is done, our credit assessment process will be more fruitful. Yep. Any
So
queries?
just want to add 2-3 things.
In fact, this is one of the point which RBI also has an objection to. Many of the MFIs are just putting some figure in the income assessment column without even going into any details of that. So the point which you brought out is excellent. So my challenge to all the technology providers who are present here, can you think of developing some solution to this? Because we know that we are working in a segment which is informal, unorganized, where the income assessment is difficult. I agree with you. Can there be some kind of a solution based on some newer technological advancement? Thank you.
Just adding to the request what Geese has said to the partners is, income capturing is one part. I would like to extend one more end. If we can capture the pictures of it. So that will also add up the audit angle to it. Like if somebody is saying I have livestock of 2 or 3 goats here and a picture is verifying that thing, that will give an additive benefit in the scrutiny process.
Sir, I want to add 2 more points in terms of credit underwriting model, right? So nowadays, the most of the problems which we were discussing since morning, like the forged KYCs, right? Now it's a problem for the industry that the customers are providing us the forged KYCs and all, right? So that can also be verified by using the system data also, right? So nowadays, the customers are providing us the Aadhaar card copy, whereas the address is mentioned of Jharkhand state, right? Once you plot your input data with the output data of either voter card or either if you are doing the e-sign, if you are matching these data with the input and output, then you will figure out the customers have provided us the fake KYCs through which we can mitigate a risk. Nowadays, we are only evaluating the customer name. For example, the input name is Maninder and output name is Maninder. If it is matching, then we rely that the KYC is correct, right? But it is not a case nowadays. The tampering is happening at the address level also, state level also, district level also, where the customer is migrant and they are changing their address on the KYCs, right? By using this practice, we can also eliminate our KYC related frauds. Apart from that, there are other, APIs are also available wherein you can also minimize your TAT also, cost also, like the face match scores are also available in the market, right? So whatever the output you have done and whatever the photos you have captured real time at the customer's place, so the customers will give you the face match score. So by evaluating the face match score, you will also come to know whether this is in the same borrower or this is a ghost borrower, right? So by adding all these kinds of tools in your current credit underwriting system, I think we can make our credit underwriting system more robust. And yes, Mr. Ram has also said that whatever the data we are getting from the bureaus, right? So that we also need to plot in our current LOS, right? Wherein we can also figure out whether the customer is having the multiple trade lines with the multiple KYC. That is also a early warning signal for us, and that we need to take a call internally that whether do we accept these customers or not. I think we can also implement all these changes. Thank you.
Sir. The main drawback is that we already part of the that meeting seminar. इसमें आपका आधार बाउंड पहले तो मोबाइल नंबर चाहिए, क्योंकि हमारे कस्टमर जो है 25 रुपए का गिफ्ट मिलता है, मोबाइल नंबर चेंज कर दीजिए, तो ये सर ये काम करेगा ही नहीं। आज हमारा वो KYC 4 साल से यूज कर रहे हैं, 5% शायद ही रिकॉर्ड हमारे पास आ पाते हैं। रीजन यही कि मोबाइल नंबर लिंक ही नहीं होता दर से। आज एक गिलास मिल रहा है एक सिम के साथ, वो गिलास की जगह अपना सिम कार्ड बदल देगी।
One more point I just want to add is that recently we had a meeting of our SRO committee, self-regulatory organization. We have two SRO committees. So one of the point which they raised was that can the MFIs go for a second check before the disbursement of the loans? Because now we know that credit bureau, there is a time lag. After you apply for the loan, the updation doesn't take place immediately, doesn't, especially because of the time lag, there could be one or two additional loans must have already been taken. So can there be a mechanism to do a second check just before the disbursement?
People are doing it. So a lot of MFIs have also started adopting it. So earlier it was the case in the MSME and home loan and few other when they were doing, right from the lead generation when we are doing the short profile check to the time when we are actually going on to the quality check or to the time of the disbursement, right? So now, even in the system, there's an option during the CPC that you can actually do the re-trigger of the credit bureau. If required, it can be done. So some MFIs have opted for it, but there is a cost factor, right? So,
sir, there is one operational challenge also, because the average TAT nowadays in MFI is 3 days, right? For the graduated cycle, it is a 1 day or 2 day, right? So the problem statement is, so once we submit the data on the T-1, right, so it get reprocessed at a bureau level on the very next day. So already, so we cannot get the refreshed data from the bureau end because the data refreshing time is equal to 2 or 3 days, right? So until and unless we cannot fix the data refreshing time of the daily submission at bureau level, right? So I think this option will not be useful, and it will only add costs, but as an output will not get the desired results.
So mostly people are using it when the time is more. Otherwise, they are not.
Yeah. Sorry. Can the next team please come and... Yeah.
Thank you.
Sir. Usko chai, coffee mein discuss kijiye, please. Because it's like 1:40 and we still have an hour to go. Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah.
Sir, I think we are only there.
Uske baad there are some presentations. Yeah. Sorry for that.
That will be useful to all of you. Yeah.
So, good afternoon, everyone. Thank you, Sa-Dhan. So, our topic was basically digital adoption lead to breakdown of the group culture. So, whatever problem we discuss in our group, That is
Please.
dynamic QR code collection, digital literacy for the family, online meetings, and all these are problems are there. So जो solution हम लोग लेकर के आए उसमें basically अभी तक जितनी भी बात हुई हम लोगों की, अगर हम लोग implement नहीं कर पा रहे हैं तो all the discussions are I think कि वो बेकार ही जाएगा. तो what was my suggestion in that कि आप जब भी हम CGT करने जाते हैं अपने ग्रुप की, सबसे पहला स्टेप हमारा CGT होता है मेंबर बनने के बाद. तो अगर हम क्लाइंट के फैमिली को एंगेज कर पाते हैं एनी हाउ, लाइक देयर चिल्ड्रन दे कम्स टुगेदर एंड वो मोस्टली वही यूज़ करते हैं मोबाइल एप्लीकेशन उनका. तो अगर हम कस्टमर एप्लीकेशन देते हैं और कुछ क्वेश्चन है, जैसे हम लोग CGT में क्वेश्चन पूछते हैं हमेशा, या कुछ डिस्कशन करते हैं उनके साथ में, तो कुछ क्वेश्चन हम लोग ऑब्जेक्टिव ऐसा दें उनके फैमिली के लिए कि उनके बच्चे आंसर करें उसको. अगर वो नहीं कर पा रही है, क्लाइंट अगर नहीं कर पा रही है आंसर, तो हम इस तरह से उनको एंगेज कर सकते हैं. और जितने भी नोटिफिकेशंस होते हैं, अगर हम लोग कस्टमर एप्लीकेशन देते हैं उनको, जितने भी नोटिफिकेशंस होते हैं वो सारे हम उस एप्लीकेशन पे दें और कुछ स्टफ हम उनके बच्चों के लिए डालें अगर उसमें. तो आई थिंक ये बेस्ट पॉसिबल तरीका होगा कि ग्रेजुअली हम धीरे उनके बच्चे जब इंटरेस्ट लेंगे तो मम्मी पापा यूजुअली इंटरेस्ट लेंगे. तो दैट विल द बेस्ट वे कि हम अपना मोबाइल एप्लीकेशन उनको इम्प्लीमेंट कर सकते हैं. नेक्स्ट अपना जियो फेंसिंग का कॉन्सेप्ट है. अभी मेरे ख्याल से मोस्टली हम लोग यूज़ ही कर रहे हैं, हर MFI में यूज़ कर रहे हैं. और जो मेरा एक्सपीरियंस है अपना, मैंने फील्ड में भी देखा है, हर जगह मैंने देखा है इस तरीके से कि अगर आपका एम्प्लॉई जो आपका FO है, अगर वो सेंटर पे नहीं जा रहा है तो किसी भी तरीके से हम अपने क्लाइंट को एंगेज नहीं कर पाएंगे. तो उसका बेस्ट ऑप्शन है कि हमारा जो जियो फेंसिंग हमको मैंडेट कर देते हैं कि क्लाइंट हमारे सेंटर पे आएगी, अटेंडेंस लगाएगी. अटेंडेंस पॉसिबल आज की डेट में कि आप एप्लीकेशन से ले सकते हो जियो फेंसिंग के थ्रू. तो दैट विल द बेस्ट ऑप्शन कि जब आप उसका अटेंडेंस ले रहे हो उसके बाद ही उसका कोई प्रोसेस, अगर आप पेमेंट भी UPI से ले रहे हो या किसी भी प्रोसेस से ले रहे हो, उसका पेमेंट ऑप्शन इनेबल तभी होगा जब वो अटेंडेंस लगा देगी. तो दैट विल बी द बेस्ट ऑप्शन कि आप जियो फेंसिंग के थ्रू कर सकते हो. बाकी QR लिंक अभी हम लोग यूज़ ही कर रहे हैं. मोस्ट ऑफ द बैंक्स आर देयर व्हिच आर प्रोवाइडिंग रियल टाइम ट्रांजेक्शन डेटा, जिसके थ्रू हमें ये रिकनसाइल हो जाता है कि किस क्लाइंट का पेमेंट था ये. तो दैट विल बी द बेस्ट ऑप्शन कि आप QR कोड को थ्रू कलेक्शन कर सकते हो. आई थिंक ये हम लोगों का डिस्कशन था आपस में, और दीज आर द सॉल्यूशंस. सो एनी क्वेश्चंस फॉर दैट?
I think the only question I have is that it feels like you're still insisting कि group meeting होना ही चाहिए, right?
Yes sir, because what we discussed on that table, there was a major problem like client group में आ ही नहीं रही है ना. जब तक आप एंगेज नहीं करोगे उसको क्लाइंट को, तब तक वो आएगी ही नहीं.
मेन USB MFI का है ग्रुप मीटिंग.
I understand. The reason I'm asking this question is कि on one hand हम बोल रहे हैं कि digital payment will ensure कि आपका time save होगा, right? So we're saying कि digital payment करोगे तो आपका time save होगा, right? And then we're insisting on them to come to the meeting because we feel कि meeting में आओगे तो you're binding them कि मतलब loan नहीं दो, मतलब repay नहीं करोगे तो you're enforcing the same discipline, right? How will the two happen? Because the only reason that we are doing this group meeting is हम पैसा ले रहे हैं, और अगर हम उसको डिजिटल कर रहे हैं तो बोलेगी मैं आके करूँगी क्या, राइट? सो हाउ आर यू री-इमेजिनिंग दैट होल मीटिंग टू मेक इट मोर मीनिंगफुल? लाइक लुक एट मी, लाइक इफ आई एम अ कस्टमर, जैसे कि हमने HDFC बैंक से लोन लिया हो एंड देन HDFC बैंक टेल्स मी that you have to come to the branch because only then I will allow you for payment. Think of it from the customer angle. कि customer को for you, your case of optimizing your cost, you are making digital payments happen. You're also concerned कि मुझे भी मतलब you don't want to do BBPS because it is 5 rupees, so you're thinking of cost for you. Think of the customer. तो customer को हमने बोला कि आप digital payment करो क्योंकि मेरा benefit है, आपका कोई benefit है कि मुझे उससे लेना देना नहीं है. Then I will only give you payments, I will not give you anything else in your app. लेकिन आप app use करो. So I'm just trying to, bounce this off to think about what are you thinking about the customer to make it meaningful for them. So if you're saying group meeting they should come, can you make it easier for them in terms of कोई और तरीका है जहाँ से group meeting करें?
मेन चीज जो है ना सोशल कोलैटरल है. क्लाइंट मीटिंग में नहीं आएगी, अभी उसको है कि ये पैसा नहीं देंगे तो सब मिलके पैसा देंगे, क्योंकि आज की डेट में खत्म हो गया इंडिविजुअल कलेक्शन चेक करना.
हाँ, तो उस मॉडल को how can you use technology to retain the model without making it compulsory for people to meet is what I'm trying to ask. Is there any thinking around that? Group meeting जारी रखो, group meeting का frequency थोड़ा vary करो. Is that something that you can think? I'm not saying as a technology. See, technology can think about, can I do WhatsApp meeting? Can I do Zoom online meeting? Can any of that work or not work?
staff is easily recognized within rural area, where from they come with the money, it's a risk. So we don't want to avoid this risk. And the accuracy, or even internal threat like this, if you stop do some misconfiguring, it not means that we want to save time.
सर दिस इज द मेन कंसर्न बेसिकली वी हैव टू फर्स्ट वी हैव टू वाइप आउट दिस थिंग कि हम जो डिजिटल पेमेंट ले रहे हैं ना वो हम टाइम बचाने के लिए ले रहे हैं दैट इज ओनली बिकॉज कि हम कैश क्राइम को रोकना चाह रहे हैं उसके लिए हम ले रहे हैं डिजिटल पेमेंट
Actually, I was in a meeting in day 4 yesterday with PSDCCI, which was there day 4 yesterday. So there were one discussion which were happening with the RBI. The head of RBI was there. So they were telling us, like, you know, even though MFI also, there are so many individual loans are coming up, which is contributing to about 30% now. And what they are perceiving is, like, it's going to be a more than 50% within the next 5 years. So they are going individually more as compared to the groups. So that's why they're foresee, like, it's gonna be a more individual than the group, but yeah, group will be there, so both will sustain on their own together, but individual percentage will go more. So we have to, I think we should also try and see what we can do to engage that individual person to our company rather having only the group dependency. So that's what my answer is. Yeah, it is. But sir, actually, why we do that group loan is because we get the social security from there.
No.
Yeah. Right. True. Yeah. 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 NBFC FMI, yeah.
Only NBFCs and NBFC MFIs. I'm not going towards SFPs and fintechs, okay? Let me focus only on two. NBFCs and NBFC MFIs.
Yeah.
First of all, when we talking about individual lending, within that there are two segments, secured and unsecured.
Yeah.
All the NBFCs, at present, only NBFC, not MFI.
Okay.
Different categorization. RBI issues a license, a separate license for MFI operations.
Yeah.
And for NBFC, you are just registered as an NBFC. So we all first have to register as an NBFC and then secure an MFI license.
Yeah.
Subke is a private limited company. It's neither an NBFC nor an NBFC MFI. It's a private limited company, 100% doing VC model. Okay. They don't have their own books. Okay. These are the three entities which operate in the sector right now. First of all, the MFIs, major business is of a JLG lending.
Right.
They are not moving to individual lending. If they'll move to individual lending, the institutional capacities and the softwares are not going to support it, because in individual lending, even if you are doing unsecured individual lending, which MFIs do, we can't do secured lending because we can do 75% book has to be unsecured. This is a very small segment and is not viable because the risk of default and underwriting is going to
No, actually what they were saying is, like, because that was a SME meeting was there.
Let me just complete. Let's clarify. I was part of the same group. So when we are talking of individual lending for MSME, what we are saying, or the missing middle, 1 lakh to 5 lakhs, 75,000 and above, when a JLG client is graduating, 5th cycle, 6th cycle client हो गई, और उसकी requirement अब 40-50 हज़ार से नहीं चल रही है, उसे 70-75 हज़ार 1 लाख रुपया चाहिए और आप unsecured दे रहे हैं, तब MFI के पास choice है कि वो उसे individual underwrite करेगी.
Right.
Okay. True. Just to clarify on GG sir, every loan which is being disbursed has to go through an individual credit underwriting for each member of the group. Many MFIs have independent credit departments and many don't have even today, which is being discussed as a major concern, and regulators are very worried about it because poor underwriting means poor quality of disbursements. True. So for most new generations who are leaving MFI and starting their own enterprises, and some are sitting in this room, decided not to take MFI license. Day one, they have become NBFC, and what they are doing now, they are also doing group lending, they are also doing unsecured individual lending and also secured individual lending. Okay, because they have that flexibility and none of the regulatory compliances are applicable on them. सारी RBI की requirement किसके ऊपर अप्लाइड होती हैं? MFI के ऊपर अप्लाई होती हैं. इसलिए अब कोई भी यंग जनरेशन जो Sa-Dhan में काम करता था, सत्या में काम करता था, कैशफ्लोर में काम करता था, वहाँ से नौकरी छोड़ के अपनी कैपिटल इकट्ठी करके NBFC बना रहे हैं और वो इंडिविजुअल लैंडिंग, लेकिन वो JLG लैंडिंग भी कर रहे हैं. उनकी बुक्स में JLG, which has become a state of confusion right now in the ecosystem. And the other day when we met Secretary Finance, recommendation which has gone, some products have to be exclusive only for MFIs. Otherwise, categorization as a MFI makes no sense today. We are under heavy regulations, but we are not getting any leverage or advantage of it. Secretary Finance heard it. Let's see what's going to happen. Okay? So right now, the sector is in an utter state of confusion. अभी तो मैंने fintech का जिक्र भी नहीं किया इसमें.
Yeah, give everyone a round of applause for yourselves, yeah?
Thank you, sir.
Yeah, so now as we wrap it up, I'll just speak to the individual facilitators to get the notes because a lot of hard work has gone into it. I'll pick it up from you all. Next session, it's like 4 partners are going to present their solutions. The idea is to give you a sense of what the solution offering is. Look forward to M2P to come first. Yeah, there's no specific order. Yeah, but.
I know we all are hungry, but can we have a good afternoon, please? Okay. So, since morning, I think there was a lot of, since morning there was a lot of spotlight on tech and technology service providers. And to my luck, I was sitting in the center. So, so from the stage, from this thing, so I can see a lot of eyes. So here we are talking about some solution, right? So we are talking about microfinance technology shared services model, a case study from Ethiopia, okay? So I think next 4 slides is going to answer a lot of questions that even Balaji raised in terms of the shared model and few other things. So let me just do a quick introduction. So this is about the association. The association is called AEMFI. Okay, so it's very, very similar. Okay, so we partnered with them in 2018. They are appointed body by National Bank of Ethiopia, which is a federal or central bank. And their goal is that within Ethiopia, they need to, provide the research, training, come up with the policies, provide technology assistance, and so on and so forth. Okay? See, we have a lot of big customers also, like banks and larger microfinance in Ethiopia. But there were a set of smaller microfinance who was not able to afford to the next-gen technology. Okay? So how we made it possible? So this is the background. So 2018 is when we came together, AEMFI and Craft Silicon. The objective was to reduce paperwork, standardize, and quick deployment of regulatory guidelines. So that was one of the big challenge that we solved. And that was, in fact, the challenges. And cost-effective technology solution. Then on top of it, minimal customization, maximum standardization. Okay? And then how do we standardize the MIS and also the reporting system? Okay? So what happened? So now what is the role of 3 different entities over here? So one entity is Craft Silicon, so definitely software product is ours. Project management, change management at the code level, at the tech level is done by us. And the L3 support is done by us. Now, I'm not saying that we adopt exactly the same model, but the idea is to share the practice. Okay? AEMFI is managing the MFI relationship. They are also doing the L1, L2 support, the local language support, the Ethiopian language support, and also the regulatory guidance. So they are interacting with the National Bank of Ethiopia, just like our RBI, just like our SRO body, how the interaction is happening. So they are giving the regulatory guidance. And then there is technology users, which are MFIs. Okay? So we deployed a single platform with unique instances for each MFI. Okay? There is a separate distributed database workflow, individual and group loan management. So both are there. Then it's not only about, because they are in that country, MFIs or some of the MFIs are also allowed for the savings, right? So the saving was also deployed. The Sharia compliant was deployed in terms of the this thing. Then both online and offline operation in terms of the mobile application. Then all relevant reporting formats. And then on top of it, we did the integration with the third-party RegTech providers, like the ID verification or the credit bureau or few of the other things. So it was a consolidated one. So in one shot, we did that. Now coming to there was a lot of discussion around the cost. Definitely there is a cost of technology. So initially, 25 members signed for it, because we also wanted some minimum commitment to initiate. Because there is a cost of building the infrastructure, there's a cost of SaaS, cloud, there's a cost of deployment, project management, everything, right? So 25 MFIs signed for it, and currently we are supporting 36 MFIs in the country. Okay? What happened? What is the impact? So it improved the accuracy in terms of the reporting, standardized the whole thing. The entire processes are also largely standardized. Definitely there are workflow-related changes. So when I say workflow-related changes means that, let's say in the individual lending, somebody want to have up to a certain amount, they want to have one personal discussion, somebody don't want to have personal discussion. So there are definitely workflow parameterization to a large extent that you can design your own workflow. Then they reduce project costs and to shared and standard practices. So that was there. And a lot of integrations, in terms of the API integrations and all that is given. And so that's the message from their CEO, who is AEMFI CEO. So that's the quick case study I wanted to share with everybody, that yes, it is possible. The answer to the question was the shared model. So yes, here it is. It is.
What was the percentage cost reduction for each member?
Oh, drastic. It's almost like 50 to 60% reduction. Yes, and one important thing is that we restricted few things here. So when I say restricted means that there was no custom report. There's nothing called custom report. Okay? Standardized. Reports were all standardized. So so requirement is not coming from the MFI, requirement is coming from AEMFI, the body. So if the MFIs are having the requirement, they will gauge, they will judge, they will give it to AEMFI. So the first level of change advisory board is what we call, right, is happening at the MFI level. And then coming to us for the rollout.
If 20 reports are being proposed by AFMI, will you reduce it to 15?
No, we will take 20. We will take 20. So right now, there are close to 170 odd reports is what we are providing.
So cost reduction 50% and all the other requirements being
Definitely.
That was.
Sorry? Sorry, which management?
Yes.
Yeah, definitely yes. Definitely yes. That will be shared by everyone. So it is whatever the changes, the core system changes, or any policy related changes, or any regulatory related changes, which is coming in the loan origination system, or the loan management, or anything like that, would be decided among the MFI, or MFI would be deciding on it, and they would be giving to us, and we would be rolling it out.
So the change request is for all.
25 to 36, the cost came further down?
That I need to check. I don't have an answer for it right now.
Minimum number size for the members?
See, we started with 25. If we are talking in an India context, we have to do the mathematics, because the cost of operation is very different, the infrastructure cost is very different, and also can't comment on the number right now. Yeah, so we did that in 2019, 2020, I think.
So my suggestion is let the questions, you all can discuss the questions.
Yeah. So, just a quick one about Craft Silicon. I don't know what is happening with the slides over here. So, I don't know, I think most of you know us, but if you don't, we are at 25th year of operation this year. In Asia, majority of our work is predominantly into microfinance sector. Now we have started diversifying into other this thing. We are fully compliant in terms of the statutory requirement. We do for all the SaaS client, we do VAPT, ISO 27K, 20K, BCMS and all that, and we extend those certificates, so there is a cost reduction at your point, right? So we don't charge anything for that. So that's there. Next. Yeah, so just go back. Next. That's it. Just go next. Yeah, these are some of the clients. That's it. Thank you. So that's any questions you have, please let me know. Thank you. Thank you.
Our next partner is M2P. Just give me 1 minute.
Having, despite more than 5 million borrowers on our platform only for MFI and serving a book of more than 15,000 crore in today's day and age. I'll just wait for this presentation to open and then we can start. Yeah. We can probably move to the third slide quickly. So, M2P is essentially, yes, I'll talk about this. So we are a Chennai headquartered 1,300 member team. We've been into this lending industry for the past 14 years now, courtesy one of our products, FinPlus, the company that we acquired in 2020. We have our offices all across India. We have a couple of offices in Bombay, a couple of offices in Bangalore, we have one office in Hyderabad, one in Delhi, then we are obviously Chennai headquartered. Apart from that, we have a lot of Africa presence. We are present in Saudi big time, Jakarta, Indonesia. We are opening up our office in Nairobi as well as we speak. We already have some active clients happening in the Mauritian region also. We are essentially an API first infrastructure company. Okay. Right now we have more than 300 plus lenders on our platform. I think a lot of you are asking, and it was actually related to, let's say, how quick you can make those changes, right? So when we come out and when we say that you should be able to make the changes in real time, for example, the regulatory guidelines, right? So first thing first, absolutely it should be free of cost for all the people or all the MFIs, because this is not your ask. This is the ask of the regulator. So if you are in a regulatory business, you need to adhere to the guidelines that have been set. So it should be done over there. How can you do it? You can only do it once if your system is agile enough. It's modular enough. I think this was one word that was being used. So modular, API driven, API first, agile, and you should be able to make the changes on the go. One very important point I think that people miss. A lot of times this is a question that there's a lot of dependency, for example, on the provider only to make changes. Why can't we have, let's say, a workflow builder that you yourself can orchestrate? You already have one kind of, even if someone who is not as tech savvy, he can actually orchestrate a workflow builder. Why can't I teach you? Another thing was related to, let's say, teaching of your field sales officer. Why can't there be a YouTube video? There is a YouTube link that we can show you. Go over there, have a YouTube link, tell your, that too in a local language. Let's say Hindi is a predominant language because we are sitting in northern part, but let's say in southern part also. Why can't there be a YouTube video that you can show it to everyone? It can't be a one-time training, right? There has to be permanent solutions to the problem that we are seeking. So why can't that be there? Why can't we have an underwriting model that we were all talking about, that you yourself are able to configure? Why do you need my dependency for that? So if we kind of enable you, then a lot of your CRs will also go away, for which you need to come to me. Your GTM will be much, much faster, and you will be able to actually cater to a larger audience in a much narrow time span, and spending money also would be reduced drastically. So what we've done is, we've taken 4 key issues, and I'll request my colleague to present. We've taken 4 key issues that we wanted to talk about, and that is broadly the topic of discussion today, and we want to share as to how we are able to solve for it. And at the end, we've just kept a 1-minute video, considering this paucity of time, will not extend beyond 10 minutes. There's a 1-minute video that you yourself will be able to see as to how easy it is for you to actually have a look and feel of the system. So this is just to give you an overview of that. So I'll just pass it on to Shreya.
Thank you, Sugam. Just to give a overview of what are the products that we are working today. It is not only in lending domain that we are there, but lending is one of the domains that we have, and where digital lending and MFI lending is one of the bigger suits that we have. Apart from that, we have CBS, we have payments, we have value-added services, recon services. One of the concerns were how do we do a recon on the payments that is received. Right? These are some of the products that we have today. You can go to next. Yeah, this is essentially our MFI product suite. We have our loan book, which is essentially a single app for doing sourcing and also for collections. Essentially, in a single app, field officers will be able to do everything. And more importantly, field officers will get reminders on the PTP payments that is there, right? Like that's very important. Today I mark a PTP today for a customer. Tomorrow I need to be told, like some system automatically analyzes those and tells that these are the PTPs that you have to cover, right? That's one thing that we are working on. We have a very modern web app where it gives a complete 360 client 360 degree of for a client, and then to understand the loan repayments, everything is there in our web app. The next is a customer app, end borrower app, where for existing customers, they can log in, they can see the loan balances, they can understand when is the next center meeting that is coming up, and they can also make the loan repayments from the app. Essentially, it is a UPI-based repayment that they can do, that is happening here. It's a dynamic QR-based payment that we have enabled. Next is the CXO dashboards that we have today. With this CXO dashboards, essentially for the CXO team, right? It helps them to understand what is the performance. How does my branch performance is there? How does my field collection is there? Where are the delinquencies that is going up? So this dashboard helps the financial institutions to understand their current status and how do we move ahead on that. Yeah. So these are some of the key MFIN and Sa-Dhan guidelines that we have recently enabled, of course, which has gone live by first, and we have helped our customers to go live with these guidelines. Of course, everyone knows about this lender cap, indebtedness cap. So this is essentially the key features that we have enabled. Some pain points that we discussed. How do we do a triangulation of data? With my voter ID data, with my eKYC data, and my address data. How do I triangulate those data and check? So that is something that we are working on, and we are essentially helping the financial institutions. One key thing which I want to speak here is the geofencing and the negative area mapping. So say each center will have a geofence, and center to house location geofencing is there. So any customers being onboarded outside this area, so system will be able to highlight those and it will stop that. And negative area also we can mark. So I can specify a particular street as a negative area within which the sourcing cannot happen. Or a particular designation of 1 or 2 kilometers which I don't want to do a sourcing, I can stop that. So at the field officer level, we are doing this. Yeah, we'll go to next. These are some of the challenges, very pertinent challenges that we are seeing today. One is a fast changing regulatory environment. How do we make the policy changes? So this is where we spoke about our configurable in-house BRE. So you can just identify a parameter within a BRE. There are multiple parameters that are available. Maybe CB, from CB you want to check the overdue amount, outstanding amount. You want to check maximum lender count. This, as a financial institution user, the business team can define the policies and they can roll out with such a use. These are all drag and drop, front end. Yeah. So let's go to the smart scheduler. I just want to take one minute here. One of the key things that we are having, biggest issue is that the agent productivity issue and the attrition issue that is there. High attrition in the field officer level. How do we optimize the center meeting time without having a burnout for the field officer? So what we are doing is like with our smart scheduler, which is essentially an operation research algorithm based. So what we are doing is like we can configure the constraints. Essentially, it might be a center location, distance between the center locations, and then field agent availability, their work hours, existing meeting schedules. Let's say if they are already having a meeting schedule, how do we optimize for a new scheduled center meeting time so that their workload is shared, and then essentially the time taken for center meeting is also considered here, and we arrive at a proper recommended center meeting time. This is one of the solutions that we have worked on, and it has come out really well in the recent times. So the advantage is like you have a increased productivity for your field agents, and there is no burnout that is there. So one thing, key thing that we are also looking at here is like number of groups within a center, and within a group, how many members are there. These are all the constraints that you can configure, and based on this, system will automatically recommend you which is the best optimal time for the center meeting time. The last one which we want to address here is the AI-based attendance tracking. So this is one which we are using. There's a lot of fraud that is there. You go to a CGT attendance, you take a GRT attendance. There are center meeting attendance that you take today. So what we do is like essentially, we take a group photo. With that, we do a face match. With AI-based algorithm, system automatically marks the attendance for those people who have already visited the branch and done the center meeting. So this is one of the key areas that we are addressing today, which is very, very essential. And what we are also doing, we also spoke about the dedupe issue. Let's say today we do a dedupe check of the customers. I take voter ID of the customer, or I take the mobile number of the customer and do a dedupe. The problem with this is the data quality issue. So if my data at source is having a problem, essentially I'm not, even if I do a dedupe, it is not possible to solve this problem. So for this, we have arrived at a solution which is called as a face dedupe solution. At the source of, early into the sourcing, we capture the customer image, we dedupe the customer face based on the, with the existing customer database that is there. So image, face dedupe is what we are doing today, and with the help of this, we are able to recognize a customer, and if he is an existing customer, or if he or she is an existing customer, we are able to identify at the source. We don't have to come to a later stage and then find out they are an existing customer, right? That's what we are trying to do.
This is probably the last slide.
Yeah, this is the last slide that we want to discuss.
Yeah.
So essentially from sourcing to offer generation, right? We are able to do everything in 6 minutes today. This is before your CGT, GRT. When I onboard a customer, I just do a basic check of the customer. I do a CB check, and system automatically recommends the offer amount that is eligible for the customer. Basis that, we can proceed ahead with the CGT, GRT, and house visit, other steps. This is what we are trying to do here. Yeah. So we'll just quickly play the video.
Yeah. What is the video?
Presenting M2P's flagship loan book app for field officers, where they can have personalized sourcing / collection dashboard. Manage their daily tasks, do collections, onboard the end borrower, and do much more. M2P's backend portal gives you complete access to loan applications, reports, loan management system, and much more. That's not it. There is app for customers to repay and check their EMI due date. Along with deep analytic dashboard for CXOs to analyze and manage their business better. Presenting M2P's flagship loan book app for field officers, where they...
Our next partner is IndiHub.
Sure, sir. So while it is getting started, if MTP was less known, I think I'm loud enough. If I'm loud enough, take a if M2P was less known, I think we are unknown. So this is the first time we're getting introduced. We are like that Amul chocolate, not too old, not too young. We are a young kid on the block, but we've been there in the industry for 6 years. Okay? We've been working with Avanti. Avanti was conceptualized or conceived with Indihood in the room. We all know that the founders of Avanti are Mr. Ratan Tata, Nandan Nilekani, and Dr. Vijay Kelkar. And they had this vision of establishing making finance accessible to 100 million households through a paperless, presenceless, and cashless, in a cashless manner. And Indihood is what they relied on to build that technology backbone. So before I share that story, let me just walk you through a few slides. Thank you for Sa-Dhan for giving us the opportunity. Let's go to the next slide. We all saw a lot of problems that got discussed today, and we also saw some solutions right now. But I want to go back to the survey that was shared earlier. The satisfaction levels of all the solutions are very low. The cloud adoption was at 10%. Mobile app people were not very happy with it. They were not available in vernacular languages. And the question that came to my mind was, are we adopting the right solutions? And that's what I'm going to talk about now. Okay? So this is a summary of all that we discussed in the morning session. So I'm not going to walk you through. We all know that, one second. Okay, we all know that JLGs and SHGs are going to stay. They will continue. But the share of individual loans have to grow. Second, we spoke about high operational cost, large field force, high attrition, high leakage. And we also talked about, if we have to look at world-class solution, then the cost is going to be expensive. I want to make a statement, 3-word statement, and I want all of you to remember it. Small is big. Okay? The technology has got democratized now, and therefore, you don't need to be a large MFI to have access to the best solution in the world. Whether it is in the form of an association or it is an individual small MFI who wants to take the digital platform, the unified digital platform, it's possible today, and that's what we're showing today. So that's the second one. Third one, rapid evolution in the compliance requirements. We all know what we may saying by that. Sir, you spoke about granular underwriting, but what we feel is that, while granular underwriting is important in JLGs, etc., going forward, that may not be enough. We will have to go do more than that, particularly for new to credit borrowers. Okay? And lastly, if I look at the technology, that's the biggest problem. And that's why I kept it in the end. It's like a jalebi. We heard about disparate solutions. We spoke about integration issues. We spoke about data not matching. We talk about lag in the data. We talk about inaccuracy, all of that, right? So that's a big problem. And that's happening possibly because we are all relying on point solutions which have largely believed in automating manual processes. We're not thinking about platforms that can solve the problem and get us future ready. Let's go to the next slide, please. Okay. So these are the 3 key missing elements right now. A pure digital spine, end-to-end borrower journey, lender journey, everything, all lender operations, all put together as one product, one spine, one platform. Second, self-actuated and self-serve. We spoke about user app. We spoke about agent app. We spoke about intuitive apps. We spoke about vernacular languages. And we spoke about borrowers being able to pay seamlessly. All of that will happen if it is self-actuated and self-serve, which doesn't seem to exist in large proportions today. And last is nano-adaptive. We have to match the payment cycles to the earning cycles. And I was giving an example of a loan product on this table here, that if somebody is buying a cow right now, the EMI has to be low until the cow starts giving milk and the farmer is earning more. Now, we should be able to think about these innovative products. That's nano-adaptive. Let's go to the next slide, please. What you see here is that unified digital lending spine, and that's the need of the hour. This is the end-to-end borrower journey and for the lending operations, right? So, I'm not going to explain each block here, but right from onboarding a user through that digital paperless origination to setting, a configurable underwriting engine, which each MFI can configure it to their requirements, to co-lending. We've discussed co-lending as a big issue. It's not. It's readily available. Then there is a hyper-flexible LMS. We have a digital repayments engine, AI collections platform, lastly, composable AI factory. Now this AI API factory. Now this API factory makes those seamless integrations absolutely possible. We were talking to one of the leading CTOs and she said, all this is fine, but will you be able to seamlessly integrate into our ocean? We have an ocean. And that's what we said, that the composable AI factory will make it possible. And to every question that she asked on integration, we had an answer. And last but not the least, real-time dashboard maker. It's near real-time, 4 hours refresh. I don't think any other tech provider gives us that real-time visibility at all the levels, at head office, at branch office, at the agent level. Okay? So that's the digital spine. Let's move to the next slide. Now, while we are calling a digital platform, digital lending platform, a digital spine, many of you are technology experts here and you may have questions, so I'm not going to run through this, but this is the entire technology architecture or a functional diagram that the digital lending spine comprises of. I want to talk about 3 things, again, 30 seconds each. One is the IndiBank lending platform. In the previous session as well as now, I've been talking about I'm speaking about difference between a point solution and a platform. For a point solution, every time there is a new use case, sir, we have to start coding and build a solution altogether. And that is what it takes time. But if it is a meta platform like that IndiBank lending platform that you see, which comprises of a secure cloud infrastructure, it's auditable, traceable, there's a 360-degree warehouse. I'll share the slides with you so that you can take a look at it. But if that is there, then building a new use case for a new vertical is child's play. If I have to give you an example, COVID, moratorium came into play. We could do it in 2 weeks, while some of the leading banks took 3 months to implement moratorium. Right? So that's the flexibility. Our feature evolution speed is 7x with this single unified digital lending spine. Let's go ahead quickly. So this is an enlarged view of the same thing. I want to talk about now the LOS here and onboarding. We spoke about a lot about having the right borrowers onboarded, particularly in the new to credit. We calculate, we obviously gather the self-assessed data from the borrowers. We are in the process of account aggregation, and we are also having on our roadmap imputed income computation. We also allow upload of photographs of asset upload. Somebody was speaking in the morning, right? So you can upload photographs of your house. All of that is there. There are 300 odd checkpoints there, and there is an algorithm that makes sure that we don't have to worry about risk management or collections risk management as a post-mortem activity. We nip it in the bud right at the onboarding stage, right? So that's one point. Second point I want to talk about is, the third point I want to talk about is in the collections in the next slide, please. Okay. What you see in the collections here, our collection platform works on 3 things. Okay. There's a purpose-led database. When you upload your borrower database into that purpose-led database, it massages the data and it gives you intent signals on who's likely to pay before the due date on his or her own, who will need a telephonic follow-up, who will need an in-person visit or will need a nudge in the center meeting, or who will need then a legal course of action subsequently. Now, if you know that, then you can allocate these borrowers into various buckets and then proactively act on collections rather than, because we just heard in the morning that now the NPAs are 6%. This, I think, is AI collections platform. I don't think there's any other parallel in the industry right now. Let's move quickly to the next slide. Let's run this video. This shows, there's no sound here right now because of the, So what you are seeing now is in a digital paperless origination. So applications are flowing in. That's the co-lending. The disbursements have happened. The digital repayments have started. And whatever it is left is getting collected through the AI collections platform. And then all of this is available real time to everybody across the chain. Last point. Okay, this is the most important slide. I said we are working with Avanti Finance for the last 5 to 6 years. I just want to share some of the business impact that we have created. Avanti has onboarded about 600,000 plus borrowers 47% of them are new to credit or high risk, and they are running business profitably. That is most important. And that's where the growth is going to come from. That's where adoption is coming from. They're working with 90 plus partners. They have created 300 plus loan products in the last 5 years. If I talk to a leading bank, they say even if you create 30, that's a big achievement. But that's what a configurable platform allows you to do. All this with 0 engineers. I was talking to a consultant and he said that's the biggest advantage. We are talking about engineers talking to the MFIs. We are the product team for our customers. So that's 0 engineers. And the spread is across 27 states and 370 districts. Let's just see the quickly heat map. Now they have audacious plans. I wish I could share the numbers and aspirations that they have in growing their loan book. So that's the testimonial from them. Let's move to the next slide, please. Absolutely, 2 more slides, 1 sentence each. Okay, that's the heat map. The disbursement by partner, by state that Avanti does. Let's go to the next one. Okay, and that's the team. That's the team behind it. Lalitesh Katragadda was with Google. His first startup, Sperio, was acquired by Google. That was their first acquisition. He came back to India to set up their international R&D center. He was the head of that center in India till 2014. He was the creator, he's the creator or man behind Google Map Maker, which all of us use. I don't need to say anything about it. He's supposed to be a father figure in crowdsourcing. That's what he used for Google Map Maker. After 2014, he found his purpose to build technology that will crash the cost of building platforms significantly so that, so you spoke about inclusiveness. That inclusiveness happens. Right.
So all the assurances we had has gone through a reality check in this financial year. And now my suggestion to you will be, sir, since you are unknown and you are coming into the sector,
right,
and your name is linked with Avanti, a big name, please go and check that where the software has failed, because the books are under high stress. I know many PC partners of Avanti which are in very difficult spot right now. Not only of Avanti, also of Avanti.
So only humble some. No, we will. No.
Next time, where the IT solution came for the rescue and where it was.
So we'll, with all humbleness and openness, we accept your suggestion. All that I want to say is that we would not have received the testimonial if they would not have seen the benefits. That's all I want to say. Okay, and that's the team and the, okay. Thank you so much.
हेलो, थैंक यू साधन. तो जब तक ये पीपीटी तैयार होती है, प्लीज़ कॉन्ग्रेचुलेट मी बिकॉज यू आर टर्निंग टू 18 दिस ईयर. एंड जितना भी हम लोगों ने अभी तक डिस्कशन किया है यहाँ पे, तो सबसे पहले मैं ये बताना चाहूँगा आप लोगों को कि वी आर नॉट चार्जिंग विद द क्लाइंट AUM बेस. बेसिकली हम लोग AUM बेस चार्ज नहीं करते हैं. तो वो टेंशन, मतलब अगर आप वैक्सिल के साथ आते हो तो वो टेंशन नहीं है यहाँ पे. एंड दूसरी प्रॉब्लम जो मेन थी, हम लोगों ने डिस्कस किया अभी कि हम लोग कॉस्ट को कैसे कम कर सकते हैं. जैसे आप कोई चेंजेस बोलते हो हमें करने के लिए, एक तो सबसे बड़ी प्रॉब्लम होती है टाइम की, दूसरा कॉस्ट की. तो मेरा सजेशन ये है जो हम अपने क्लाइंट के साथ करते हैं, एंड मैं सजेस्ट करूँगा कि आप मेरे क्लाइंट से आप फीडबैक भी ज़रूर लें इसका, कि जब हम एज अ टीम काम करते हैं विद क्लाइंट, तो हमारे क्लाइंट को सब पता होता है कि, क्योंकि हम उसके साथ डिसीजंस लेते हैं, उनके साथ एनालिसिस करते हैं, तो उनको पता होता है कि कॉस्ट कहाँ लग रही है एक्चुअली में। तो क्लाइंट को भी ये दिक्कत नहीं होती पे करने में, क्योंकि ट्रांसपेरेंसी होती है वहाँ पे कि हम क्या पे करने वाले हैं और क्यों पे करने वाले हैं। तो ये मेजर प्रॉब्लम्स है जो इंडस्ट्री की, जो वैक्सिल के साथ आई थिंक नहीं आती है, एंड वी आर रिटेनिंग 100% कस्टमर सिंस 16 ईयर आई थिंक। तो एंड बेस्ट थिंग वी आर डीलिंग विद ऑल टाइप ऑफ फाइनेंसेस, लाइक आप ग्रुप लोन तो है ही, आप सब लोग ग्रुप लोन पे यहाँ पे हो, बीसी लैंडिंग मॉडल है ना, को लैंडिंग मॉडल हो गया आपका, secure loan, unsecured gold loan. We are dealing in all type of products, and we have multiple partners for that. PPT यार तो बताना था, that is we are at presently we are working with AI ML, and the most important tool I think you all know about the Microsoft technology. They produce us like a Power BI tool, I think you all know about that. So with some of our partners we are working with Power BI also. तो जैसा कि रियल टाइम रिपोर्टिंग चाहिए होती है आपको, और अगर आपका डेटा बहुत ज़्यादा है तो मोस्टली सॉफ्टवेयर में क्या प्रॉब्लम होती है कि आपका सॉफ्टवेयर हैंग हो रहा होता है, रिपोर्ट नहीं जनरेट हो रही होती है ना, लॉट ऑफ प्रॉब्लम्स आर देयर लाइक दैट. So to reduce that problem, we are just introduced just now before 6 months Power BI. तो हम पावर BI इंटीग्रेट करके दे रहे हैं अपने सॉफ्टवेयर के साथ में, और उसके साथ आपको व्यू राइट्स भी देते हैं. अगर आपके पास आपका CTO अगर एसक्यूएल की नॉलेज है उनको, तो हम उनके साथ एक सिक्योर इन्वायरमेंट क्रिएट करके ना हम लोग व्यू राइट्स भी देते हैं आपके CTO को, और उनके साथ भी हम लोग डेवलपमेंट करते हैं. तो जो भी कस्टमाइजेशन होता है आपका, जितनी भी इस तरह की चीज़ें होती है ना, वो बहुत फ्रिक्वेंटली होती हैं और ऑन टाइम क्रिएट हो जाती हैं. तो yes sir, Power BI is a Microsoft product basically, and it's a real time tool basically which show you the real time data. और उसमें हम लोग बहुत सारे फनल्स है, जैसे आपका कॉस्ट एनालिसिस हो गया, पार एनालिसिस हो गया, है ना, एजिंग एनालिसिस हो गया, ये सारी रिपोर्ट से आपको ना विद इन सेकेंड आप जब भी ऑन करते हो आपको रियल टाइम में आपको डेटा दिखता है. और बेस्ट पार्ट ऑफ दैट Power BI इज यू कैन एक्सपोर्ट दैट डेटा फ्रॉम कस्टमर वाइज ऑल्सो. तो वी आर कस्टमाइजिंग दैट Power BI with our team, and there are some AI tools are also we are using in that. Yeah, that's great, sir. That's great. Sir, for Power BI, for example, like if you want a PAR report, तो पार रिपोर्ट के लिए क्या होता है कि बहुत सारी कैलकुलेशन लगती है पीछे. एंड सपोज आपके पास 1 लाख कस्टमर का डेटा है, तो अगर हम एसक्यूएल पर रन करते हो उसको डायरेक्ट ना रियल टाइम में, तो मोस्ट ऑफ द सॉफ्टवेयर कंपनी व्हाट दे डू कि आपको एक ऑप्शन देता है, आप क्लिक करते हो तो 5-10 मिनट बाद आपका डेटा डाउनलोड होकर के मिलता है ना. बट पावर BI में क्या है ना, आपने एक बार क्लिक किया, उसको ऑन किया, तो रियल टाइम में आपका डेटा डाउनलोड हो जाता है. सिंगल क्लिक पे आपका पूरा जितने भी कस्टमर एक साथ आ जाएंगे. तो दैट इज़ सो मच फास्ट. तो यहाँ पे आपका वो होता है. बाकी जो आपका अगर CTO जो है उनको नॉलेज है पावर BI की, हमसे अगर ट्रेनिंग ले लेते हो हफ्ते भर की, तो दे कैन क्रिएट देयर ओन रिपोर्ट एंड दैट पावर BI ऑल्सो, क्योंकि उनको व्यू राइट्स ऑलरेडी उसमें होता है एसक्यूएल का, तो वहाँ से अपने हिसाब से रिपोर्ट को क्रिएट कर सकते हैं. Yes sir, it's the most effective tool for that only. Yes sir. Any question? अगर आप लोग और कुछ डिस्कस करना है सर प्लीज सर. No issue. But in Power BI license part, I have to manage. We are managing that license part actually. We give you a published data only. Okay? आपने हमको बोला, जैसे अभी आप हमें कोई रिपोर्ट बनाने के लिए बोलते हो, तो जनरली कंपनी क्या करती है, बहुत जल्दी करके देगी हो, तो बोलेगा कि 3 to 5 days तो लगने ही कोई भी रिपोर्ट बनाने के लिए, है ना. बट अब Power BI में आपने बोला तो हम मतलब विद इन आवर कर सकते हैं उसको. अगर आपके पास एक्सपर्टीज भी नहीं है, आपने हमको फॉर्मेट दे दिया एक्सेल का, हमने क्रिएट किया और पब्लिश करके आपको दे दिया, तो यू आर यूजिंग ओनली द पब्लिश विंडो ओनली, तो आपको उसके लिए लाइसेंस की ज़रूरत नहीं पड़ेगी. एंड द मोस्ट इंपॉर्टेंट थिंग कि आपके पास नंबर्स ऑफ एम्प्लॉई हैं, देन वी आर मैनेजिंग इन दैट लॉग इन वाइज रिपोर्टिंग ऑल्सो. मीन्स अगर आपने उसको 4 ब्रांचेस की परमिशन दे रखी है ना, तो ही कैन सी ओनली द 4 ब्रांचेस डेटा और उसको एक्सपोर्ट कर सकता है वहीं से. तो ये सारी चीज़ें ऑलरेडी कस्टमाइज उसमें आप कर सकते हो रियल टाइम हमारे साथ में. थैंक यू सो मच.
Yeah, it's done.
सर मुझे ना मेन इंपॉर्टेंट जो था ना, वो जो सबसे बड़ी प्रॉब्लम ना बीसी लैंडिंग की है. तो वी आर वर्किंग विद द मोस्ट ऑफ द लैंडिंग पार्टनर्स हु डू इन बीसी ओनली. तो उनके लिए हम लोगों ने जो ना एपीआई बेस्ड सोल्यूशन रेडी किया हुआ है, और जो आईएफएस प्रोडक्ट का नाम है हमारे वैक्सिल का, तो दैट इज़ बेस्ड ऑन एपीआई ओनली. तो हमें एपीआई डेवलप नहीं करनी पड़ती कोई भी किसी भी बीसी लैंडिंग के लिए हमें कनेक्ट करने के लिए. तो मल्टीपल बीसी लैंडिंग हम लोग कर रहे हैं पार्टनर्स के साथ में. जो सबसे बड़ा चैलेंज आता है, और रियल टाइम में डेटा आपको शेयर भी करते हैं उनसे, डेटा गेट भी करते हैं उनसे. तो रिपोर्टिंग पार्ट से जो है वो सारे जो इशूज होते हैं एपीआई बेस्ड होने की वजह से वो रिजॉल्व हो जाते हैं. Yeah, okay, no issue. Thank you, sir. Thank you so much.
So thank you very much. Thank you very much. So lunch के बाद तो we have to close it. We have like we need 5 minutes to honor our our sponsors. Sponsors, and they are also our partners. But before that, I would like to thank all of you. This is the journey we have undertaken. Balaji knows it, that we have undertaken by collecting the data. So there was no data basically on Ambarish. Can you please? So there was no data actually on the usage of technology. So we brought together all the microfinance institutions. We developed a format, and then we collected some data, whatever possible way. And we got the support from Axion to procure it and put it in the slides properly. That's the genesis of this one. And our members, they wanted to have some interaction. And so without understanding the sector, we couldn't do it. So that was the starting. Then we organized the meeting of the CTOs, virtual, yes, of course. Then we developed the parameters on which parameters we'll be discussing. Then that's the culmination. Today's work is the culmination of that 7 months work. Thank you very much for coming over here. And we are really humbled to get you people, and the kind of discussions we have during this conclave and this group discussion. It is amazing, and we would like to take forward a couple of those areas which is possible for us. We are association, we have our limitations. We have our limitations of understanding, but with your support, we can always make it big. We can always make it really happen. Thank you very much from my end, and I would like to request Mr.
Which one? I think let's close it. Please, thank you. So let me thank each one of you for being here and making it a really useful session, a half a day's useful session by all your deliberations and inputs. I would like to thank my team, Saibal, Sangeeta, Shri, and Amresh, all those people who have worked behind this. In fact, it has come out very well, and I really compliment my team for an excellent job. My special thanks to 2 persons who made this program really a focused and useful one. One is Balaji, you made it. You made this program a great one. Thank you so much for it. Akul Saab kahan hai? Akul Saab has moderated the first session excellently, and it was really good, and my thanks to both of them for excellent contribution for making this program a successful one. Of course, all of you made this program really a good one. Because of your inputs, it has come out well, and whatever the points we have received, we'll definitely try to take it forward. Certain things what SRO can do, we'll try to do, and where we would like to take it with the partners, stakeholders, we'll also try to take it with that. So with this, I will not take more time. I'll conclude because it was nothing more to say at the moment. Only I need to thank our partners, especially the two of the people who have joined us, our resource persons as well as our sponsors. So let's do that. Thank you.
I'll request Balaji sir to come.
Thank you, Balaji, for your excellent can we get Indigo person? Indigo. Sorry, Indigo. 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 Sorry, I'm sorry. My apologies. Indigo. Thank you. Thank you so much. Crafts recon. Craft. Excel solution. Excel solution. Excel solution. So your presentation will put in your time. I'm sorry about it, but that's why we Great. So with this we will conclude and request all of you to join us for the demo outside. It's event is ready. Join us and have a safe journey back.